Hey guys, just wanted to leave a pre-show prayer. So here it goes. Dear Heavenly Father, I come before you and I just ask that you please open the ears to new and old listeners who are tuning in from all over. May you open the mouths of both Basil and Gons as they read the news or whatever, as they read what the plan is for our future. May you give them strength today, and may you just open the hearts, Lord, and the listeners who have family members who don't see yet, who aren't awake. I lift up those people they're praying for, Lord, and may you just lead us today, and thank you very much for dying for each one of us. And your name, Jesus. I'm looking forward to hear what is to be revealed today. And again, Lord, just thank you. And may you give strength to those who are praying for their loved ones. Strength and patience, and in all of your time, Lord Jesus. I thank you. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much for that opening prayer. I believe that was from Ginger B, if I'm not incorrect there. We appreciate that very much, Ginger. And if you are on the newsletter, that's the email we send out before every show. You should have one in your inbox. If it's not in your inbox, check in your, spam folders or promotions folders, things like that, because it's about 20% of each newsletter makes it to inboxes. And so go find it and click the little star or make it a preferred thing. Send it to your inbox. And in that email, you'll see a button. If you'd like to help us out by leaving us a before-show, pre-show prayer, that is very special thing you can do. We appreciate that very much. That's through the SpeakPipe. And if you don't get the newsletter, go sign up for it at canarycry.party. All right, folks. Well, let's get this show started. You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is March 27th, 2023. We are live to tape on episode 606. Right. And today, Yuan. Signing on from off the grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy, Basil. Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Sounds fun. I mean, it's just, what else is new? Am I right, folks? We did it. We made it through another weekend. Congratulations, everybody. It's a little bit of a slow-moving, sleepy Monday, but I think maybe we say that every single Monday. Got a great show today. Lots of things to dive into here. But before we do that, I think we should open up that big old can of disclaimer guns.
Yeah, I think I messed up again.
Oh, it sounds like nobody can hear you.
Yeah, they can hear me now. Hello, everybody.
Okay, great. There we go.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up, YouTube.
That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. That's right. Even though we're not on YouTube, we got kicked off YouTube, even though we're very good boys. But let me give you a rundown of the show, Guns.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
Okay, we are starting out with an update from an organization we have not heard a whole lot from recently, and that's the Trilateral Commission. Yes, Japanese outlets coming out with some pretty compelling stories about the Trilateral Commission and what they think of the year 2023. Then, of course, FLIPPY will come around and tell us all what the future looks like with an update on Optimus and his incredibly impressive abilities. That's right. That's the Tesla robot. So we got an update on that one. Then we checking in the context of World War III. We've got more Afro-futurism. The battle for Africa continues with the U.S. throwing down the gauntlet, sending in the MVP. And then we'll check in with Israel. A lot of hullabaloo going on over there as some think that the authoritarian New World Order continues to march into the future. Then a quick mirror image over there going on in France. In Block 2, we're looking at 33s, baby. It's 33 Blitz, 33 robots, 33 space, 33 all the way down. And a quick check-in with Saudi Arabia and what they're doing to aid in the global transition from the dollar to the whatever. And at the end of the show, we'll be just checking in with some cute little mice and how mice are embracing their own version of progressive woke culture. But for now, Gons, let's check in with those lead stories.
A new world order. A new world order. A new world order.
This is coming from asia.nikkei.com. As Basil mentioned, it is a Japanese outlet. And it was sent to me by multiple people. Thank you for everyone who sent it. And the headline here, Trilateral Commission calls 2023 year one of New World Order. Straight up.
That's
there
fun.
you go. Yeah, there's no mincing words. The New World Order, we're in year one, yes.
Year one is pretty optimistic, I'd say.
Well, it's the metaphor of breaking away from the year cycles with Christ BC, AD, that whole thing. You know, we got to break out of that. So let's just start fresh. 2023, things are changing. We got the Yuan as the new multipolar world reserve currency. So year one and year Yuan. You get it? It's a joke. They made a joke.
Love it.
But also, yeah. So I guess last year was year 0, and now we're in 1.
Okay. Tell me more. What does the story have to say? Okay.
So New Delhi, as retired foreign ministers, ambassadors, CEOs, bankers, and academics gathered at the secretive Trilateral Commission's first global plenary meeting in India, perhaps the most influential individual sat quietly off to the side, listening. James Baker, director of the Pentagon's Office of Net Assessment, was not even on the list of participants at the Taj Palace Hotel in New Delhi, but his takeaways from the meeting could find their way into policies that shape the world. Baker is the successor to legendary defense strategist Andrew Marshall, who headed the office for 42 years. He is responsible for providing the Secretary of Defense with an assessment of U.S. military capabilities relative to other actors 20 to 30 years down the road. One particular speech may have caught Baker's attention, for it captured the essence of the 3-day discussion held from Friday through Sunday. This was a couple weeks ago. Quote, "The Biden administration is trying to convince the world that there is this titanic struggle between autocracies and democracies. I am skeptical about that," end quote, a speaker said. Instead, the world is fragmented, with countries, including the U.S., looking out for their self-interests, the speaker added. And then it mentions the Trilateral Commission, a non-governmental organization that seeks to deepen understanding between U.S., Europe, and Asia. The speaker, who cannot be identified according to commission rules, went on, quote, 3 decades of globalization, defined as integrated, free market-based, and deflationary, has been replaced by what will be a multi-decade period of globalization defined as fragmented, not free market-based, but industrial policy-based and structurally inflationary. This year, 2023, is year 1 of this new global order.
Fun.
Yeah,
Fun.
The guy who can't be identified due to rules. Guy talking.
Of course, there's nothing quite like a bunch of lizard people getting together and building a sort of futuristic futurology, Illuminati sort of club. And then, you know, if you're one of those secret cabals of elites that influence the direction the entire world goes in, of course you're going to build in a rule that says people can't say who's in it or who's speaking about the sort of cataclysmic shift that the world economy is being forced to undergo. Now, you can't just be throwing out names.
Who do you think it is? Do you have any inkling?
Rudd.
What did you say?
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd. Okay.
I'm very suspicious of that guy.
Okay. Just in particular, is there a reason or just a hunch?
Ant-Man. Not a huge fan of the Ant-Man franchise, though I'm thinking maybe he's Illuminati #1.
It says here, created by philanthropist David Rockefeller in 1973, the commission sought to bring the rising economy of Japan firmly into the West. Thank you, David Rockefeller. Look what you've done with Japan. We really appreciate years of dead economy and now the reversal of population and eugenics. There you go. Today, the commission has expanded to include members from South Korea, India, and Southeast Asia. And it goes on here about the Chinese situation, and then they end with ChatGPT. They talk about how they need to have some kind of governing global regulatory scheme to govern AI. Yeah. But they were really stoked about ChatGPT because they asked it to write a poem about the Trilateral Commission.
Oh,
would you like to hear it, Basil?
Too. Yes, okay. I would love to hear AI's poem about the Trilateral Commission.
Okay, here it goes. In secret meetings, you plan and conspire to create a new order of which you aspire. Your goals are unclear, but some see the end as a world government with you as its friend.
That's hilarious. I mean, for those who might not, I don't know, have gone through the whole Trilateral Commission thing, this was exactly as stated, a sort of secretive group, kind of like a bit like World Economic Forum 1.0. It was like a 20th century version of the World Economic Forum, and they were the center, the absolute center of all New World Order conspiracy theories, pretty much up until maybe 2010, when the World Economic Forum became more popular. Yeah. And I mean, classic Illuminati, filled with the not just politicians, but the bankers who own them and the billionaires who are controlling everything, the real puppet masters. And of course, previously their PR was always like, no, we're a group of internationally concerned citizens, and we're, yes, we may be billionaires, but we're very private, and we're mostly here to help humanity move into the most, sufficient way of living. And yes, it also happens to have us at the top of the pyramid taking everybody's money and being served by the peasants, but it's good for everyone. It's a very classic sort of mid-century, I think there's 1970s they were formed. And they were formed specifically by citizens of Japan. Well, Japan was included, but there's also, of course, America, Canada, Europeans, things like that. Yes. But it's so funny because we had not heard so much about them recently.
Well, I would like to think that we contributed to some of the more, I don't know, real parts of this poem, how they conspire, for example.
Well, that's the funny part. Yeah. They got AI to write a poem about themselves, and even the AI is like, y'all are the Illuminati for a long time. I mean, you guys are getting kind of old, a little long in the tooth, but you want to make a one world government, and that's who you are. And they're proud of it. It's really nice of them, actually. They're not even trying to hide it anymore.
No. Well, they got the rules
that's for the youngins. That's for Klaus Schwab to try to pretend that he's not some sort of reptilian overlord. We're the Trilateral Commission. We embrace it.
All right. And you can always, and I say we directly contributed to the ChatGPT database because back on March 24th, almost exactly 8 years ago, 2016, we did publish Canary Cry Radio episode 104, Trilateral Technocrats, with Patrick Wood, who was one of the co-authors of one of the seminal books on the Trilateral Commission. And he wrote it with Anthony Sutton. And so he pretty much exposes that whole thing, the reason it formed and what it was doing and everything. And so we had that conversation with Patrick Wood, and I featured him in Age of Deceit 3. I mean, he's prolific in the work of exposing this group. So yeah, I mean, there's no question that there is some shadiness going on, but I just find it hilarious that they are leveraging ChatGPT to, make a splash, make themselves relevant.
I wonder if Klaus Schwab has asked ChatGPT to write a poem about WEF. It's funny.
I can ask it to do it.
As I'm sort of going back, I'm unlocking the filing cabinets that have all the Trilateral Commission information in my brain. And the Trilateral Commission really, I mean, we were a little fringy even calling them technocrats because they were mostly industrialists. They're sort of mid 20th century industrialists, Rockefeller, things like that. Technocratism really wasn't even a thing. I mean, it
had its 30s origin, but then it kind of fizzled out as an official thing until more recently.
They would consider themselves more industrialists, whereas the WEF, which really is sort of this baby organization which structured itself in the similar ways the Trilateral Commission. They basically tried to redo it, but with some brighter branding, and instead of industrialists, they call themselves technocrats and stuff like that. But it's really all of the same spirit. It's really interesting.
Yeah. So fun stuff coming out of the Trilateral Commission. They're still going at it. They're having secret meetings. And hey, we got a new calendar. What is this? The Trilateral calendar? Is that what they're doing? Year one?
Yeah, it's just year one.
Okay. All right, I'm going to hold it to them. They better, 5 years from now, they better be like, we are now in year 5.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'll start structuring the Canary Cry calendar around 2023 being year 1.
We'll just adopt their whole thing.
It's year 1, Gons, and today is day 1 because it is Monday.
Gary, what day is it? Monday. Gary, what day is it?
Whoa.
Whoa.
What is happening?
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Gary, what day is it? Monday.
Monday. Mixing the Monday jingle.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, that's the AI is going for a new feel. Appreciate that. Yep, it's Monday. We did it. I'm very sleepy today. Mm-hmm. How are you doing?
Doing okay. Just getting ready for the move. So there's a lot of boxes and going through things and.
Pretty impressed that you're getting ready for the move so early. You don't move for another 2 months or something.
Yeah, that is my wife is a professional planner. She can plan anything and execute on the plan. So yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I did want to just mention, kind of as a side note here, this is irrelevant to my move here. But since we're going to be thanking some producers here, I found this article on the New York Times. NPR cuts 10% of staff and halts production of 4 podcasts.
Oh my god!
Can you believe it, Basil? 4 podcasts go under in this rough economic time, and this they talk about the the advertising, and it's a rough time right now for. But it's also it goes to show that a show like ours, even though we've been going up and down as well, is that it truly is sustainable in the long run. With
nobody's halting us.
No one's stopping us because we can't get enough advertisers. So just something to note.
Although a 10% staff reduction, that would look interesting
for us. I would lose an arm or something.
I mean, Monday morning, the way I feel doing this show, it kind of feels like I'm missing 10% of my brain employees.
True. Yeah, that's true. Well, there you go. I just wanted to bring that up because I just wanted to say I appreciate all the producers that are either in the Supply Drop or T-Shirt Council or support individual shows or with art, and you guys are making it happen. So
couldn't do it without them. That's true. And with that, we should probably thank our executive producer for today.
Executive producers.
That's right. You know it. You love it. It's the value for value model, folks. It's why we haven't had to cut 10% of our staff or cancel 4 podcasts. Nope, because we don't rely on corporate money whatsoever. Not a single penny is being put into action to sell your time and your attention for our personal gain. You can be sure of one thing, listening to Canary Cry News Talk, is you are still the owner of your mind, which is not the case when corporations are paying money to even independent media creators to bundle up and sell off your attention and your time for their own personal gain. Not a single penny is going to go to that. We are committed to that, and no matter how much I sit and ponder how much easier life could be if I could just try to sell people Swiffer wet jackets or underwear subscriptions. Oh, how peaceful life could be, Gons. But no, can't think about it too long.
Those real opportunities. Are you giving us a little bit of personal history there? You've been asked to.
Well, MeUndies sent us an email quite a while back trying to have it. We've gotten offers. We still get offers. I know we say this every once in a while, but I don't think we mention it. We got some offers just recently from some hot new brands looking to expand into our market. We're an influential blah, blah, blah.
You can tell they don't actually listen to the show by the way they
usually not.
The pitch there.
Usually not. No, they just go down the charts. You go up, you hit a high enough spot on the charts, all the ad sales people are just trolling those charts looking for the next new hot podcast to subscribe to, or to sell your underwear subscriptions. But anyways, we don't do that. We got producers. making the show happen with their time, their talent, or their treasure. They're not just generous philanthropic people helping this show exist. They are paradigm shifted, unique individuals who understand that if we, the people, do not take responsibility for our own media production, that we are actively handing it off to corporate forces that do not have our best interests in mind. And our executive producers are those who come in, are extra honest and generous with their producership of the show, and that's why we thank them now. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, we got one executive producer for the show today, and we are very grateful for them because as of the newsletter going out, we had 0. It is just that time in history, Gons, where we are pretty much starting every show off without an executive producer. But this one comes in, saw the flames in the building, and grabbed their fire extinguisher and ran on in. And that's why we want to thank executive producer Morgan E.
Morgan E. is our Fed bailing us out.
Okay, yes. Yeah. Let's see here. And Morgan E. actually is on a 2-episode executive producer streak. Executive streak. Yeah, big deal. Very big deal. Thank you very much, Morgan E. You are an inspiration to us all. On top of that, Morgan E. has been producing the show altogether for 10 episodes in a row. Very accomplished young producer so far in just a short amount of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Morgan E.
Where'd you find this?
And I believe that is it. I will do a quick little refresh just in case somebody popped in. But just so everybody knows, it's not too late. You can still produce the show. Beep, 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 bop, a doop, boop, boop, Gons. Okay, we did have another executive producer made it in and came in with 2 fire extinguishers this time. Oh, wow. So let's thank our recent. Just now came in, looking at it, a couple minutes ago, executive producer Christine S.
Christine S., thank you.
Yeah, nice round number. Appreciate. You know what? Christine S. is also one of the white knight producers that show up when we are in big trouble. So I think Christine S., the fact that executive producer Christine S. and executive producer Morgan E. came in at the same time, that's how we know there's people actually looking out for us, Gons. Yeah. And we appreciate that very much. Thank you very much, EP Christine S.
Where'd you find this?
That's right. And it's not too late, folks. You can put value in any way you want with your time, your talent, your treasure. You can learn all about it over at canarycried.support. Canarycried.support. We have got to fix that jingle. We cannot live like this. I know. It's kind of like when you're, when you're a bachelor and you're living in a, an apartment or just in a tent out in the wilderness or something, and you kind of just learn to live with the broken chair that has the right. The duct tape on it, or like the phone book under the wobbly leg. Usually it's a matchbook, but when it's really wobbly, you put a phone book under it, and you just live like that forever, and you don't even think about it. That's us and that jingle.
That jingle, yeah.
Gotta get another one.
We gotta ask Sam. We gotta do some favors for Sam.
Or we got jingle boys who could jump in at any moment. We need a jingle for canarycried.support. I'm trying so hard because I had a here's what it is. Up top, request for artist producers. Artist producers. If everybody's been paying attention to the thumbnails, of course, we have different art on the thumbnail of every episode. It's very cool. One of the more unique things about our customer-facing branding solutions. But we looked at the data. The data said if you're doing thumbnails, you gotta have people on the thumbnail. You gotta have your podcast hosts on the thumbnail. You gotta look surprised.
Those weird.
You gotta do something.
Mouth open shots. I'm not doing it.
And we thought, we're not going to do that. We're not going to put our faces on the thumbnail of this podcast. Ooh. But the past few episodes, luckily, we have years of artist renderings of us in different styles, different situations, different outfits. So we've been putting art of Gons and I on the thumbnail, and it's been wonderful. I know that, let's see here, Sir Salmon's had one. We had 88 had one. Dame Allie had one, last episode. Who's this one from today?
I believe this is
Shield Labs.
Shield Labs, yeah.
I think that's Sir Casey the Shield Knight. I could be wrong. No, I think it is.
I think it is, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, this piece was from a long time ago. It's like us being very cool anime dudes.
Very anime, yeah.
So this is a very specific need, is that we need producers, artists, to draw us. Do like a chest up type of thing, and we'll start putting them on the thumbnails. When we run out of these things, we'll start repeating them. But I think it's very fun, very cool having a different drawing of us on every thumbnail. So that is my request. Artists out there, maybe you're an artist and like you used to make stuff for the show and you haven't done it. I think this is a good opportunity for every artist who listens to the show, whether they've produced before or not, to get their fingerprints on the forward-facing thumbnail. I think that's a good idea. So please do that. If you need inspiration, just look at our thumbnail from the past few episodes and go to canarycry.art to upload that to our art portal. And then just make sure to go to canarycrymeetups.com.
Mm-hmm.
Canary Cry Meetup.
Meetups. That's right. Real quick, just want to let everybody know, go to canarycrymeetups.com. That's where we are listing all of the meetups going on around the world for Canarians just like you. No matter where you are in the world, there's Canarians who listen to the show and maybe even are as obsessed with the show as you are. And what a wonderful opportunity to meet those people right before the apocalypse happens. So, if we are in a situation where we need to survive some sort of post-apocalyptic wasteland, you can start putting your apocalypse team together at these meetups. I recommended doing barn raisings. If somebody needs like a shed built or something, that's a great way to do it. But connecting with other people who are on the level with what to expect as the world continues is a very important part of life. Plus, it's just fun, making friends, talking about weird stuff. So go to canarycrymeetups.com, see if there's one near you. If there's not one near you, just put one on yourself. It's easy. Wherever you are, just pick a time, pick a place, pick a date, let us know about it, and we'll put it on the website. And maybe even Sir Dove will make a flyer for you. Who knows? He's a man of many talents. So go do that. canarycrymeetups.com. We'll see you at the meetup.
This is fun! See you at the meetup.
Flippy?
Yeah.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
It's time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and what are they doing? They're flirting with our spouses. And we talk about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways the robots are taking over the world, and just how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update is coming from the Sun.com. Not just the Sun.com, the U.S. Sun.
Oh, boy.
Gons. This is not the British Sun. This is the U.S. Sun. It's brighter, it's patriotic, and it's in decline. The headline here is Musky Business. Not a great start. Musky Business. The Tesla robot. What will Optimus be able to do, and how much will it cost? So we got an update on Optimus, which is Tesla's robot that they are figuring out.
The humanoid robot?
Yes, the humanoid one. If you don't remember, it's excuse my language, it's the sexiest one. Oh. It's the one that's a little too curvy compared to the other robots. Yeah. They spent a little bit extra time making it human shaped. But we've got an update. We heard about this a couple of years ago, and of course, in classic Elon fashion, we should have had it already if his original timeline was accurate in any way. But let's get an update. Here it goes. Elon Musk has promised to end poverty with Tesla's humanoid robot Optimus. So let's stop there for a second, just real quick. You know, we get a lot of PR. That's what we do at the Flippy Update. We examine, we take apart, we deconstruct the communication about these robots, okay? And we got it all. We call the shots and nail it 100% of the time. This is a new one. This is a new piece of language to justify humanoid robot butlers, is that it will end poverty. I don't know how, but
everybody's going to get a robot.
It'll end poverty. Like maybe. So here we go. We're all on UBI. That's what it is. First of all, UBI. Everybody has robots. So the assumption is we're all on universal basic income.
Yeah, we're just borrowing from our future, continuing to borrow from our future to build now. Yes.
And instead of going to work or having a job, we send the robot in our place.
Yes.
I think that's it.
Yes.
You know, if your robot breaks, then you have to go in and work yourself. But I think if you got one of these robots, put a wig on it, send it into work, have it host your podcast, whatever you do, this robot will help you. All right. Elon Musk has promised to end poverty with Tesla's humanoid robot Optimus. But what will it actually be able to do? And could you afford to buy one? What will the Tesla robot do? Our goal, this is a quote, our goal is to make a useful humanoid robot as quickly as possible, Musk said at Tesla's AI Day event last year. The eccentric billionaire hopes the robot will walk humans into a future of abundance, a future where there is no poverty, a future where you can have whatever you want in terms of products and services.
Ooh.
It's a pretty big statement.
Well, that's Elon. He's always...
It's all about abundance.
Big,
There's no poverty. You can have whatever you want, whenever you want, in sort of the capitalistic products and services way. It's honestly, the robot sounds great. The robot is far from hitting shelves anytime soon, with Musk anticipating Optimus to be ready to go on sale by 2027.
Oh, right when World War III starts.
Yes. 2027.
Yeah, there you go.
China will invade Taiwan. U.S. will get into a hot war over Taiwan. Will probably bomb the semiconductor facilities. And Elon Musk's robot butler will be available.
Elon will get mad that people are using Optimus for combat. They're supposed to use
the
military version, Star Shield instead of Starlink, right?
I sent out this robot to be a butler for soldiers. They shouldn't be giving guns to these robots. They're supposed to serve the soldiers.
What is the military version of Optimus? Would it be like what's the villain in Transformers?
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think of it too.
Nuts. Totally forgetting it, but that's the punchline.
Optimus, and then there's Megatron. That's what it is. Yeah. Megatron.
There you go. Kind of works for him.
But here's what we know what the Tesla bot will be capable of when it's ready so far. Okay. So here are the abilities that the robot has that will put an end to poverty.
It's going to end poverty. Okay, yeah.
Okay, here's the list, folks. Get ready. The world-changing Optimus robot that will create a technocratic utopia.
I'm for the robots.
Worthy of right-wing extremist Elon Musk's passion.
Future vision,
here we go.
Yes.
Here's the skills. Now, of course, we always talk about skills that humans have that robots don't have, and how humans should put skills to work here. That's how it worked. But here are the skills that the robots will bring to the future. Here it goes. Starting with, drum roll, forward walking.
Hey, number
1.
Yep.
Forward walking.
Okay.
That
is a thing. If you want to be a butler, you got to be able to walk forward.
It's true. It would not be a good robot if it could not forward walk. Next, we have squatting and squat walk.
Ooh. That's some flex right there.
Squatting and squat walk. Sounds like a name of a podcast. Squat walk. Squat talk. Squad. squat, squat, walk. The next one is sidestepping.
Is that metaphorically or is that physically?
Rhetorically.
Rhetorically.
It's really annoying getting into arguments with the robot because it's always sidestepping your points. Look at this one. This one's impressive. Turning while walking.
Good.
Pretty good. Lifting objects from the ground up to eye level. Great.
Yeah.
You can pick things up, look at it. Squeezing or gripping and object and lifting it.
The sun, U.S., huh?
Just how it's written. Squeezing or gripping and object and lifting it. Climbing stairs. That's good. Got to climb stairs. And then we're back to this one. Squatting and picking up the object.
I think they're very happy about the squatting breakthroughs.
Yeah, they're kind of taking things that were previously on the list and combining them and making a new item on the list. But okay, squatting and picking up the object. Walking on a slope or hill.
All right.
Yeah.
More
sliding,
forward walking, yeah.
Forward, yes. Forward, up, down. Sliding objects. It can slide an object, which is fine.
Okay.
It gets a little bit more complicated. Using a drill.
Oh, that's a lot more
I think those
dexterous.
are pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting things to be right next to each other on the list. Sliding objects and using a drill. That's a pretty complex an increase in complexity. Pushing and pulling objects. It's good. Got to get the doors. Will it know? Will it know, though, whether to push or pull the object? That's the question. Here's a good one. Turning with an object.
So it's going to have a good baseball or golf swing?
I think no. I think it's... We know it can slide an object. We know it can squeeze or grip an object. We know it can hold it up at eye level, but now it can turn with that object. Okay. And then the last one here, using a screwdriver.
Okay, well,
I do want to point out this robot can use a drill and a screwdriver. You'd think maybe you could do one without the other, but apparently screwing in screws is a major plot point in this robot. And it can
is
do
it just holding up the drill version of the screwdriver, or does it actually physically, get a screwdriver, put it in and twist and the whole deal?
Well, a drill and a screwdriver, they're two different things.
I know.
And this bot can do it all, Gons.
A screwdriver and using a drill. Okay. All right.
Now, the article goes on to this subheadline that says, "Can the Tesla robot walk?" I sure hope so, the Sun, because you just had walking on about 10 items on that list. Although it does say it can, although it's not replacing Messi anytime soon.
Right.
No context there. I'm thinking that's the soccer man.
That's the soccer man. Sports ball man.
Okay, so the robot can walk but not play soccer yet, apparently.
Yeah.
Optimus was unveiled for the second time at AI Day in October, where the robot walked on stage by itself. But it can only walk around 5 miles per hour. Only 5 miles an hour, Gons. That's actually a pretty fast walk.
I was going to say, that is
a brisk.
Yeah, brisk, exactly.
It's a brisk walk. I don't know what kind of power walking club the Sun is in, but 5 miles an hour is a decent walk. Yeah. They did sort of leave out the joke of Elon Musk's joke, where he specifically said, we are purposefully making these robots slow enough so anyone could outrun it.
Right.
You remember that?
Yeah, I do remember, yeah.
5 miles an hour. If I'm going to have to break out into a brisk walk to escape these robots, it's already too fast. We need to slow that down. Here's a couple other details here. How much will it cost? There's not yet a definite price tag on the Tesla bot. Musk has previously given a ballpark figure of under $20,000. However, the price of Tesla cars was initially supposed to be $35,000, but has increased over time. Yep, that's how time and money works. The bottom line is it's going to be expensive, but makes sense when you look at its anatomy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is what I'm
Are
saying.
we going through each one of these? Because that could be the rest of the show right here. We can really
we don't
break
care.
down.
I mean, I think
every
it's
element.
funny. Considering what this robot looks like, it's funny for the Sun to kind of make a comment about its anatomy, but then it just gives some tech specs, and we don't care about that. So there you go, folks. There's what you got to look forward to when the robots hit the shelves. Forward walking, squatting and squat walk, sidestepping, turning while walking, lifting objects from the ground, squeezing, climbing, squatting. Squatting's on there quite a few times, folks. Walking, sliding, using a drill, and using a screwdriver. The future is now.
All right. The average human male runs at about 8 miles per hour. So yeah, maybe that was and a woman average run speed 6.5 miles per hour.
That's sexist, Guns.
Hey, I'm just looking at numbers, man. Just
that is a slow run. Are they including? I mean, 6 miles an hour. That's not a run. That's a.
It's probably taking into account all people.
Yes, of all ages.
Of all ages, all
physical ability.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Are
Let's get
you
on
ready?
with the show.
Let's do it.
I'm ready.
What shall we do?
All kidding aside, of course, President Harris.
We got to take this stuff seriously as you are, because you have been forced to have to take it seriously.
President Harris. Because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day.
Kamala.
What you doing tomorrow?
Kamala Harris.
She's been busy, man.
She's busy. Kamala Harris in the news. She's finally doing some stuff. CNN.com. Vice President Harris embarks on history-making Africa trip amid U.S.-China competition. So we've been talking, we identified the whole focus on Africa. Yeah, this Afro-futurism thing a while ago. It's obviously was
predatory.
It's happening before we, started talking about it. But in terms of keeping specific track of it, it's been interesting to see how it's come full circle, really, with the movement of China in the geopolitical world. Africa became a big part of that, and now the U.S. making counter moves, sending Kamala Harris to make a difference, to stand up.
Sending their job. Don't worry, Africa. Kamala's coming to help you.
When Kamala Harris steps off Air Force 2 in Ghana on Sunday, which was yesterday, she'll become the first black woman U.S. vice president to visit Africa, marking another chapter.
No, they can't say that.
That's what it says.
They can't say that she's the first black woman vice president to step foot in Africa. She is the first woman black vice president, period. Why would they point this out? Who was another black woman vice president who wouldn't have visited? Is there a secret one that didn't make the trip?
We're never going to get through this if we dissect every sentence, because the absurdity levels of this article
we have to comment on that. That is ludicrous.
She's become
it shows,
the first black woman.
It shows how specific they have to get to make her sound like she's accomplishing anything.
Yeah, well, they capitalized the letter black as well. It's something that we've noticed in some of these articles. So let me finish the sentence. She'll become the first black woman U.S. vice president to visit Africa, marking another chapter in her barrier-breaking role. So there it is, Basil. Just her being vice president is barrier-breaking. With everything she does, she's breaking barriers. As the vice president sets out on her first trip to the continent since her childhood, the weight of this
blood-brain barrier. Am I right?
Yeah, the weight of this history-making moment is one her advisors say she deeply understands. The depth of the symbolism will serve.
That's what she says when she doesn't actually understand it.
Well, we know
when Kamala Harris is specifically telling you, "Yes, I understand." That's her in her head thinking, "I have no idea."
I have no idea, but I have to say this because these pieces of paper tell me. The depth of the symbolism will serve as a critical backdrop to a trip that carries with it as much imminent diplomatic consequence as it does long-lasting historical significance. Really setting her up. Administration officials previewing the vice president's trip said it's a, quote, future-oriented expedition. They call it an expedition to deepen relationship, crafted to recognize that the median age of citizens of the continent is 19 years old and its population is rapidly expanding. I think we dropped a story. There was something, because you and I, Basil, was just under the hood here. We go through all the stories. Sometimes, we drop a bunch of stuff that we had considered and choose stuff for the show. And I had mentioned to you recently how we were looking at the average age of different nations. And I don't think we brought it on air, but I mentioned how in Africa,
a long time ago.
It was a few weeks ago, how Africa, their average age is 19. So, really as part of the Afrofuturism conversation to really keep an eye on that, because this is the generation that's coming to be into their prime, is being primed, so to speak. So,
and their population growth, they're pretty much the only place in the world that has population growth. Europe, any significant population growth, at least. Of course, the West, pretty much across the board, has declining population growth. Then you've got places like Italy and Japan, who actually have negative population growth. China is having trouble with the ramifications of their one-child policy that is ending up in some population problems. Really, the only place with that is following through with sort of the required population growth of capitalism is Africa. A bit in South America too, but Africa far outplays it.
Well, either or, they're both moving towards China.
Quote. Well, and you consider, too, of course, South America and Africa traditionally sort of taken advantage of for their resources of all kinds, even today, notably. That is explicitly why Kamala is there, to convince Africa to give us their resources. But the human resource side of it is a huge part of it.
There's a quote here. I'm going to Africa mainly to talk with African leaders. Really? Is that what you're doing, Kamala? About what we as the United States are prepared to do to have our role in investing in the future of that continent, end quote, Harris said in a radio interview on Friday. And that's really the key here. This is she's sort of the saleswoman for some possible funding going on over there, and we'll kind of get into why. Harris hopes to build on themes of African innovation and technology, regional security, food security, women empowerment, climate, and democracy, officials said. And she'll bring with her continent-wide public and private sector investments. There's that public-private partnership. Just bring it right into Africa. How could these African nations, seeing what's happening with, especially, climate-related ESG investing, feel good about Kamala coming over and saying, like, hey, we got some cash, we want to go your way, and we want it to be around these, certain thresholds or policies, I guess. Quote, the vice president...
She, real quick, she tweeted today, she was bragging about the reception that she received, talking about the magnificent reception from whatever country she's in
she's in
now.
Ghana, I think,
Ghana, it's like, because you're showing up with money. You're explicitly saying, I am here with the force of private and public money. Here's your money, baby. Let's see here. This is what it was. A tremendous welcome from the people of Ghana. Yes. It's tremendous.
Well, be careful with that dollar. Quote, the vice president is visiting the three countries where the government is investing in democracies, specifically at a time where we know there is global democratic recession. Senior administration officials said on the call with reporters. Global democratic recession. It's not just an economic recession, Basil. It's a global democratic recession. I wonder if that's going to be the euphemism for China's taking over and we are no longer the global power that we once were. It is now a recession of democracy taking place in the world. just think it's an interesting way to color what's happening out there.
Well, she's not wrong.
Yeah.
Give her that.
Well, yeah. The quote, the United States believes Africa is critical to addressing global challenges, and we view her visit another opportunity to consult and engage with partners on our shared objective. And then it goes into how, maybe to your point, Basil, Harris's visit fosters echoes of those by former President Barack Obama, who attracted massive crowds, and the widespread personnel embrace from regional leaders who tried to attach themselves to the political and historical moment rooted in the world's most powerful leader having a direct bloodline to their continent.
Oh.
Which is like, I thought in evolutionary terms, we all came from Africa, but I guess it only counts from a certain time when we can write or something. I don't know. But the geopolitical climate waiting for Harris is much different than when the last black White House principal took office nearly 15 years ago. For all the hope of Obama's presidency, many African leaders still voiced frustrations as the continuation of the long-standing sense that promises made were only marginally kept in a region too often left on the sidelines during defining international debates, which is true. The fight to fill that vacuum has steadily evolved into a growing diplomatic proxy battle, with the Biden administration accelerating its efforts to secure sustainable African partnerships to counter the weight of China and Russia's rising influence. And Harris will be the highest-ranking Biden official to visit Africa to confront that challenge. Do you think she can do it? She's representing us, Basil. Whether you like it or not, you and I as Americans, she is representing us and all of you listening that are in America to go to Africa to stave not just China, but the rising influence of Russia as well. This is CNN writing this, which if we're, in the context of the Ukraine war, it's very interesting that they would even print the words, China and Russia's rising influence. Like, wow, okay. I guess that's they're admitting to loss or admitting to, just losing power in a certain way.
Well, I mean, it's very interesting. The rising influence is a very specific term, because what they're saying is that China and Russia are winning at least the minds, maybe not the hearts, but the minds and the wallets of all the countries that have been bullied by the U.S. for so long. Now, are those countries getting lined up to be bullied by Russia and China? Yeah, probably. But the timing of Kamala's visit is very interesting, too, because it was just last week that the Russia-Africa conference in Moscow took place, that we covered last week. So, you have
40 countries, 40 African nations. Yeah,
very active courting going on. And it's been going on for quite some time now. But it's kind of like, it was almost like an emergency visit that she had to head out there the week after Putin was schmoozing all of these delegations.
Well, listen to this. I think these types of paragraphs is an admission as well. The high-profile mission will place the vice president on a diplomatic tightrope, requiring Harris to show African nations that the U.S. wants true collaboration to amplify the continent's potential and to avoid framing African nations as pawns in the United States' larger geopolitical strategy. Experts say, quote, "The danger is that we go there and we say, we'd like to talk to you about China," said Mark Green, a former U.S. ambassador to Tanzania and current president of the think tank, the Wilson Center. Quote, you got to always watch for those think tanks. Quote, "It would be very hard to blame Africans if they didn't hear that, and say, aha, this isn't about us, it's about China," end quote. So, yeah, they're very aware that the optics are not good. Kamala is stepping into a difficult situation here. After departing Washington.
As we speak, BRICS is trending on Twitter.
Yeah, because
the BRICS versus the G7, basically, which is China, Russia, Brazil, etc., versus basically the Western countries, and it is quite an interesting experience scrolling down Twitter and seeing a bunch of breakdowns specifically of the importance of Africa in aligning themselves with the BRICS nations. It is one additional sort of paradigm that we can add on top of the Saudi Arabia-Iran alignment with China, and of course the bigger one being Russia-China as of last year. But that's a big one. You've got BRICS sort of lining up to overtake the G7 in its sort of influence, which is almost entirely economic. But it's not looking good. Not looking good for the West. Well,
yeah, it seemed to be getting blow after blow here. Eventually, it's going to all kind of fall apart. Let me see here. I'm going to go back to this article because it talks
here
about...
it is. Sorry. Real quick.
Yep.
Egypt, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia have applied for BRICS membership. Turkey being an interesting one because they're actually in NATO.
Yeah.
So you have Turkey would be a NATO country and a BRICS country, which are not technically mutually exclusive, but it is pretty weird.
Hey, interoperability, baby. Let's go. We gotta just connect. The new globalism. It's going to be even better than the last globalism. Remember, that's what World Economic Forum told us.
Yeah.
Okay, so it talks about the whole conversation about China and the optics of it all, and how we can't make it look like we're in competition with China. We want to expand African options, not limit them. But then this little segment was pretty funny. Under tough love to combat China, Harris will see one of the clearest examples of China's influence when she flies into Zambia. Air Force Two will land at the newly renovated Kenneth Kaunda International Airport in Lusaka, financed and designed with Chinese money. The vice president's motorcade will likely drive down roads also financed by Chinese loans and pass buildings with Chinese advertisements. So it's, as much as they're like, this isn't about China, she's going to show up and be like, yeah, this is bad. Where have they sent me? I want to go back home and eat brownies or something,
Just in the lines.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. And then it goes into some other economic stuff. And I do have a clip from Kamala this morning, and I think it really just drives home the point about why she's there and what their purpose is really going there.
There are a number of things on the issue of the economy as a whole that we must do, putting aside the pandemic and the war in Ukraine, even before the two became an issue for our nations. And a lot of that work is the work that I'm here to do on the continent, which is to look at how we can, as nations who are friends, who work together, who operate on the basis of shared principles, what we can do to engage in strengthening not only our security but our prosperity. A lot of the focus of my trip on the continent during these next few days will be on increasing the relationship, in particular from U.S. private sector, for investment on the continent of Africa.
There you go. Private investors coming in. Here's some money.
And some stakeholders, baby.
Yeah, and notice she's only traveling to, 3 different nations in Africa? One of the stops not being Kenya. Kenya is running out of U.S. dollars, according to Yahoo and Quartz a few weeks ago. And there's a clip of the Kenyan president speaking to his constituents here about what to do with the U.S. dollar.
For the people who work numbers, I am giving you free advice that those of you who are holding dollars, you surely might go into losses. You better do what you must do, because this market is going to be different in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it was about a week
couple
ago.
Of weeks.
Couple weeks, yeah. So he's talking about the markets in Kenya, the financial markets, and some of the infrastructure there, and the exchanges, and also trading with other nations. Specifically, I think with China being very much involved in the Belt and Road initiative in Kenya. They have deals already. They've been negotiating deals to try to make it more concrete. There were some issues with some debt stuff last year, but I think they're working through that. So yeah, it's Africa itself will sort of be a two-party continent. It's kind of you'll have your Eastern allianced nations and then your Western aligned nations, all
right,
kind of there together. So very interesting. And
we'll
keep an eye on how this unfolds. But Kamala, she'll be there for another, 4 days, 4.5 days, 4 or 5 days. So we'll have plenty to talk about.
She's doing great. She's our hero.
Doing good, Kamala. Keep it up.
Let's check in over on Israel real quick. The things have been heating up over on that side of the coalition.
Yeah, hold on. Where's my Israel? Is that my Israel?
Zionist pig! What was that one? All right,
this large horn, Baz. It's the trumpet.
This is coming from The Guardian. This is... a lot has been going on over there. This summarizes it pretty well. We'll get it here in a second. Headline: Israel's president calls for halt to judicial overhaul after mass protests. Now, Israel, like lots of places over there, has a prime minister and it has a president. This is kind of the thing people in the U.S., we got to change our mindset a little bit there. They have the prime minister, who is more of what we would consider like our president an executive, like an executive office with power, things like that. But then there's, they have the prime minister, but also a president.
Yeah,
which
two
is
separate roles.
More of like a ceremonial thing. They kind of get into it here. Right. So, when I first read that, I'm like, whoa, Netanyahu's backing off. The protests worked? No, it was the wrong guy. Israel's president has urged the government to halt its bitterly contested judicial overhaul, a day after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sacked his defense minister for opposing the move, sparking mass street protests. Quote, "For the sake of the unity of the people of Israel, for the sake of responsibility, I call on you to stop the legislative process immediately," Isaac Herzog said on Twitter. The warning from the head of state, who is supposed to stand above politics and whose function is largely ceremonial, underlined the alarm the judicial proposals have caused. It followed a dramatic night of protests as tens of thousands of Israelis took to the streets on Sunday night after Netanyahu fired the country's defense minister. Yoav Gallant had called on the prime minister to scrap the proposal, which have divided the country, led to mass protests, and sparked growing discontent within the military. Netanyahu's move. So, actually, we're going to bring this story about Yoav, what is he? He's the defense minister. Because I think that happened on Friday. It would be like, some general in the U.S. military. No, maybe not a general, but who's the Secretary of the Armed Forces? Is that Sullivan? Oh, no. Blinken's Secretary of State. Anyways, I think it's, is it Jake Sullivan? Am I tripping?
Hold on.
Or is
let me just check.
Somebody else? Anyways, it'd be like Biden firing some head of the DOD for disagreeing with him politically.
Lloyd J. Austin. Yeah, there you go.
Lloyd Austin, that's who it is. And then just yesterday, the president coming out against this. Now, we kind of been on it before, but just to clarify a little bit, Benjamin Netanyahu, this all started when Netanyahu wanted to overhaul the power. He would say rebalance the power.
Right, this is quoted in the article again, yeah.
Oh, is it quoted? Okay, let's get to it.
It's at the very bottom. I got some highlights if you want me to sort of skip through some of the stuff here. Because,
sure.
Yeah, so it talks about Yoav Gallant. And we just stop there. And then let me jump down here. It talks about the protests, and we don't need to get into the details of the protests. The footage is compelling.
Serious business. Yeah. I mean, it rivals, what we saw in 2020, I'd say.
Yeah. A parliamentary vote this week will take place on a centerpiece of the overhaul, a law that would give the governing coalition the final say over all judicial appointments. It also seeks to pass laws that would grant Parliament the authority to override Supreme Court decisions and limit judicial review of laws. So again, I kind of went down last night and this morning a little bit just to make sure I understood it correctly, the structure of the Israeli government And I'm no expert. I'm just, doing my research
very
here.
Similar.
It's
very similar to the U.S.
It's considered a parliamentary democracy. So there is a difference, like we mentioned, between president and prime minister. They are both part of the executive branch, much like in the U.S. There is a legislative branch. In Israel, it's the Knesset. And we just talked about the couple guys from the Knesset who proposed the bill to ban preaching the gospel in all of Israel. Right. So, that's who they are. They're responsible for passing laws, approving the budget, and electing the president and the state comptroller. It's akin to the U.S., in the U.S., the Congress. So similar in nature. And then you have the judicial branch, which is Israel's highest court, Supreme Court, similar to ours. We have the Supreme Court. It's there's some differences with the religious context, and they have different branches in Israel to accommodate the different religions and things of that nature. But yeah, very much the same. And so, when Netanyahu comes in and he's trying to sort of, let me get to the quote here because it'll I guess, put into words what he sees anyway. Netanyahu and his allies say their plan will restore a balance between the judicial and executive branches. So judicial being the Supreme Court equivalent, and executive branches, which is the president and the prime minister, and rein in what they see as an interventionist Supreme Court with liberal sympathies. So there you go. Similar to what we're seeing in the U.S., by the way, at least until recently.
It's really interesting because there's been a lot of comparisons to Netanyahu and Trump.
Right.
And of course, over the past few years, back a couple of years ago, when there's all these personal stories about the Supreme Court in the U.S., there's this period of time that was very strange. I want to say it was like maybe the end of 2021, when the story after story after story about like squabbles in the Supreme Court and how Sotomayor ate Robert, whatever his name is, ate the other guy's yogurt out of the fridge, and like a lot of gossip, like weird Supreme Court gossip. I don't know. It's just very strange. And it kind of perked up our antennas because we're like, okay, what's going on here? So something's getting set up to sort of give the impression that the judicial branch is like a bunch of squabbling teenagers, when in the past, our Supreme Court is sort of treated almost like demigods. They are the holders of ethics and truth and judgment, all the way up to the president. They are as powerful or more than the president for making decisions. And then it was just like the news headlines became tabloids for the individual judges. And then, of course, we saw Biden talking about packing the courts, and there's this talk about Trump and the Supreme Court and how he's going to, use them or abuse them or whatever. But at the same time, that's exactly what Biden did when he got in. So this executive branch tension with the judicial branch of governments, democratic republics like ours, is sort of required. At least that's the idea, sort of constitutionally, is you have two extremely powerful branches of government that can legitimately sort of fight one another back and forth. Otherwise, you have like an autocracy. And if the president, if the executive branch can just do whatever they want and they held in check,
call.
Right. So we know this, checks and balances. If your judicial branch isn't a legitimate check on power for the executive, then people get a little squirrely about that, and that's what people feel like is going with Bibi Netanyahu over in Israel. A lot of fretting about a sort of authoritarian executive branch, which is a weird space to be in for Israel, who is watching their closest ally, the U.S., sort of lose a lot of power and influence in the world.
Yeah.
You could see how somebody would be like, okay, somebody needs to step up and take control, because they're certainly can't count on Biden to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm also wondering what certain Belt and Road type of deals that China has gone, because they've gone to Israel, and they're sort of, Israel, they're sort of sneaky, they're kind of slippery. Like, you can't tell if they're kind of on board, but they're not really, because they're also kind of getting
probably wouldn't phrase it that way, but yes, they are playing it safe with the current structures of
they did the same thing
relationships
with Russia
internationally.
Yeah. So in that regard, it's interesting, and I tend to think what we're seeing here is potentially, should we get a Trump presidency 2024 to 2028 in the United States, this could be a sort of, foreshadowing of what we might see in this country, where we get protests all over, almost unanimous in certain respects, because in order to prevent the complete takeover of the deep state, he needs to step in with the, acts of authoritarianism.
We need a strong man.
Yeah. So it's rocking a hard place, and that
you mentioned Israel's sort of shaky allegiances recently. Well, a good example of that is their cooperation with China about using the yuan for international trade.
Yeah, well, the U.S. is making it really easy for them to make that decision in the next few weeks and months.
That's true.
Depending on what happens. But there you go. That's some of the stuff happening in Israel. But that's not the only place up in turmoil. There's France.
It's another one of these moments where we got big, humongous protests going on all around. We got one in France too.
Yeah.
This one's coming from Reuters. Violence hits France in day of anger over Macron's pension changes. This one's a little different, but still interesting. Police fired tear gas and fought with violent black-clad anarchists in Paris and across France on Thursday, as hundreds of thousands of protesters marched against President Emmanuel Macron's plan to raise the pension age. I think this is hilarious that Reuters is writing it this way. You've got black-clad anarchists fighting against cops. Why? Well, because they wanted to raise the retirement age.
Isn't it like 2? It's like 2 years too. It's like 62 to 64 or something. And people,
I know. It's just funny. Like, I don't think anarchists are necessarily has like the pension age as their main problem with society. But okay. Yeah. The 9th day of nationwide protests, mostly peaceful, of course, disrupted train and air travel. Teachers were among many professions to walk off the job days after the government pushed through legislation to raise the retirement age by 2 years to 64. Demonstrations in central Paris were generally peaceful, but groups of black bloc anarchists smashed shop windows, demolished street furniture, and ransacked a McDonald's restaurant. Not a McDonald's!
No.
Clashes ensued as riot police drove back the anarchists with tear gas and stun grenades. They are really laying into this anarchist thing.
Yeah.
Reuters is here to protect Macron. Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin said 149 police officers were injured and 172 people were arrested across the country. Dozens of protesters were also injured, including a woman who lost a thumb.
Oh my gosh.
In the Normandy town of Rouen. Quote, "There are thugs, often from the far left, who want to bring down the state and kill police officers," Darmanin said after visiting Paris police headquarters on Thursday night. Small groups continue to clash, etc., etc. This Reuters is really having a time with this. This is a fairly, the economic ramifications of this, from what I read, are actually pretty serious. Serious enough that humongous protests are going on. And yet Reuters, instead of, focusing on what this means and why people are, so Protestant against raising the pension age, there's like, it's Antifa. Antifa, they're everywhere. We can't get them. Very focused on that aspect of it. And it goes into some of the particular actions by the anarchists. The main entrance of the Bordeaux town hall was set ablaze on Thursday, days before the monarch was due to walk through on his visit to the southwestern city. This is happening right before, let's see, what's today, the 27th?
Mm-hmm.
Unions called for regional action over the weekend and new nationwide strikes and protests on March 28th, the day Britain's King Charles is due to travel to Bordeaux. From Paris by train. Yeah, so they set Bordeaux on fire. So Prince Charles, or King Charles, can't enjoy walking through the town hall, I guess. On Wednesday, Macron broke weeks of silence on the new policy, insisting the law would come into force by year end. He compared protests to January 6th, 2021, storming of the U.S. Capitol. So they're having their own thing. We have the people all across the world are going absolutely ballistic for a lot of different reasons, but unlike 2020, where the protests were just sort of generally against sort of ideas, just like we don't like racism.
Right.
Or we don't like, being mean to people. We're going to burn down your city so you're not mean anymore. The difference is now these protests are very specific in their opposition to authoritarian leadership. I mean, that was kind of part of Macron's issue here. Is a bit taking sort of a unilateral action that a lot of people don't think was done in the right way. And I believe that there's also some big riots in Germany right now. Let me grab that real quick. But what do you think about the global uprising against governments here? I mean, it's perfect timing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know all the ins and outs of the French politics, but I do think that there are some giveaways here. Again, France turns to China. Man, if everyone's forced to turn to China, that'll be very interesting economically.
Yeah.
There is a deep tie between France and China. I don't know if you know about this. Back in 2021, 2 panda cubs were born in France. They were named Yuan Dudu and Huan Lili. The headline here of globaltimes.cn says 2 panda cubs born in France named Yuan Dudu and Huan Lili, highlighting deep China-France ties. So I wonder how Yuan Dudu is doing. By the way, Dudu, according to the interwebs, in Chinese means army, commander-in-chief. So you have the Yuan commander-in-chief panda born in France, ready for the takeover, ready to talk to Macron.
Some interesting signaling going on there.
So I'm sorry. I apologize for taking it a strange direction.
I think that must be noted. We would not be doing our jobs. I will mention CNNBusiness.com here. Headlines today. Strikes in Germany disrupt flights and trains, paralyzing Europe's biggest economy.
Trains paralyzing, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Nationwide strikes in Germany among its worst in decades.
Oh, trains paralyzing.
Trains.
I thought you said trans paralyzing.
No.
Wow, that is some crazy stuff going on.
Flights and trains. Nationwide strikes in Germany among its worst in decades are causing huge disruptions at the country's airports, on public transport, and the largest port Monday. The walkouts have been called by 2 major transport unions in Europe's biggest economy. Verdi, one of the unions, has demanded a 10% pay raise for its members, citing rising energy costs and food costs. More than 400,000 transport workers are taking part in the industrial action. So, yeah, there's a couple of these. Another 380,000 travelers will not be able to take.
Are we headed to a moment in the United States where you and I are not going to be podcasting? We're going to be on the streets with the people.
Yeah, well,
to get our money back from the banks.
Well, that's actually not. So that's kind of what our reasoning for pointing out all these big disruptions are.
Yeah.
Because again, we all kind of got a little jaded with protests and stuff, at least in the U.S., but it happened elsewhere too.
Sure.
In 2020 because of the
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter, the
double standards.
Yes, and there's something to say about taking a stand against
Jan 6 too. Jan
people
6
being mean. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was definitely one. But right now you've got, in total, probably millions of humans who are taking to the streets across some of the biggest countries, but the anger and the violence is pointed directly at actual governments and actual what's the word? I don't know. It's tangible things that they want. Whereas 2020, it was kind of, defund the police or stop being racist or stuff like this. Now, I'm sure people would argue with me. Somebody would with that. But now it's no. You Western banking system have created a situation where the government's traditionally, their whole goal, their job, is to push the people, stretch them as far as they possibly can without causing an uprising.
Right.
That's, in a way...
Yeah, they're playing with fire. They have been for a while.
That is the core mission, or the core MO of governments, is, in this fallen, corrupt world we live in. Unfortunately, the case is that the MO is push and stretch and squeeze the population for as much as you possibly can, right up until, they start to come knocking on your doors. And in the case of France, putting people's heads on spikes and stuff like that. But they're really taking this one right up to the line, it feels like.
Is Macron going to be... Well, see, that's the thing that's interesting with the context of biblical prophecy, and everyone's got different interpretations of various things in there, but the Antichrist gets a mortal head wound, and I know there's some battles and stuff he goes through, but is it something like that where, the people rise against the authoritarian figure and they finally slay him, and then he rises, and then everyone's like, whoa, he's come back to life. Macron lives. Macron Antichrist. Who's with me?
Might as well throw it out there. Who knows?
Every leader that's being protested is the Antichrist. But it does set up the Trump presidency in some ways. I think that is part of this thing as well. And you also have the New World Order enough card. That enough card that has what sort of resembles Trump, like an angry Trump face. I don't know if you've seen it, Baz. I could pull it up if you haven't. But it's the enough card, and basically... it's this idea that the people have had enough. There's an uprising, and it was compared to Trump in the 2016 fringe world, and certainly and I mentioned this too in various conversations, and sometimes I tweet about it and stuff in response to people. But if you think that the elite folks didn't factor in some kind of organic political uprising against their whole thing, then you probably don't know enough. Like, you need to study more, because if you think you're winning this battle, this uprising, you're gonna win some kind of war with these elite folks. I mean, maybe you can make some. Well,
they can definitely take a lot, but they can take a beating. Is the thing?
Yeah, that's true. Are you seeing the screen there with the enough is enough?
Yes,
Illuminati game card. It's got
I remember this
sort
one,
of the Trump-ish looking figure there. He's kind of purpley, kind of indicating the two-party melding together type deal.
Okay.
So it's something to keep in mind with and again, I don't know what is in store for us in terms of 2024 and beyond in terms of a president here in the U.S., but something to keep an eye on. It seems like all the stuff is lining up for a Trump presidency, and it's sort of a savior role, save America, save the West role for Trump. So.
Well, save your appetite, Gons, because it's time for a party, I think.
A party. Trump can come to our party. Right? Yeah. Trump, go to canarycry.party. It's a website.
I don't know if he's invited.
Well, you'll find a tree of links to everything from where to watch the show, listen to the show, how to support us, how to learn each other. friends. Take that,
Canary.
AI. Try to sort that,
really
AI.
Good. That was really good. You know, that's the problem with AI is it won't talk over each other. It won't do a bad podcast. And that's what we're here for. We're here for the human imperfections of live podcasting. Yeah. All right, folks, we're just going to take a quick second. Thank some producers.
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
Yep, you know it, you love it. It's the value for value model. No corporate money whatsoever, which means you get the show for free. You get everything we do for free. The free never ends. However, the free does end if nobody produces the show, because we're on the value for value model, meaning we don't take any corporate money whatsoever. In the case that we started taking corporate money for platform partnerships or advertisements or affiliate codes or whatever, that would not be free to you. You're just paying with not your money. You're paying with your time, your attention, your very soul, subjecting yourself to mind control that is especially geared and fine-tuned to manipulate your behavior into benefiting corporate profit motives. But not here on the value for value system. It'll always be free. 99% of you will never pay for this podcast. That's okay.
Enjoy.
Because there's the 1% of people who put value back into the system is what keeps it going. I've not run the numbers actually this year yet, but I think 2022, we just barely made 1% of listeners became supporters in one way or another, producers. Yeah.
I like that.
That includes that includes artists and things like that. Which is pretty good. I mean, hey, when you're working with big enough numbers, 1% could be great. So that's what we're doing. Value for value. Produce the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure. You can keep the show going by helping us out with back-end processes. Just send us an email. Tell us you want to get involved. Help us do social media or clipping or time stamping or anything like that. It's very helpful. You can lend us your talents, make some art or some music. We're putting that call out. We need more illustrations of Gons and I to put on our thumbnails there. Still waiting for that. Or you can keep the show going with your treasure. It's essential. It's unfortunately what we have to do to survive in this world that we live in. So the financial producers are extra special, especially recently in these uncertain times. That's why we thank them now. We already thanked our executive producer, Morgan E. and Christine S. And we got a few more to thank. Are you ready, Gons?
Ready.
Okay, starting with executive producer Davey.
Davey,
thank
you.
Davey, I hope this is correct. I don't know. PayPal has just totally gotten off the rails with the math on their
fee structure.
Their fee structure, and which only matters for us because if you come in with a nice round number, it means you're telling us not to read the amount. But sometimes if you put a funky number, make it something notable, send a little message with the numbers. Sometimes that's 33 cents or 11 cents, something like that. Then you're saying, yeah, share it, share my amount. But ever since PayPal started messing with their fees, none of the math makes sense. So I don't know if this was supposed to be a round number or if something was just off. I'm going to thank producer Davey for the $50.01.
Thank you very much, Davey.
And Davey. And he's got a note here. Cool note. Note says this: "It's me, Davey."
Hey, Davey.
It is you.
It is you.
It is you, Davey. Thank you very much. Next up, we've got producer Malik W. comes in with a nice round. Appreciate that. Good to see Malik. Oh, Malik is on a streak. He's got to be on a streak. I think he's on a 2-episode streak.
Thank you, Malik.
Appreciate it. Yeah, you know what? I love Malik. Malik comes in. He doesn't produce every single episode, but every now and again he'll come in for a few episodes, start a nice little streak, get some jingles played, and then, go do something better with his life, and then come back and do it again. We appreciate it. Yeah. Producer Malik.
Thank you, Malik.
Next up, big streaker here. We got, of course, Sir Moore of Night of the Burning Chariots. 210 episodes in a row.
210.
Oh,
yeah, Streakalicious.
Thank you very much, Sir Morv.
You truly are Streakalicious, Sir Morv. Next up, who do we have? We've got... Oh, you know what? I think that's it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kamala.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, Kamala is sending all our money to Africa, I think. Just double checking here, make sure nothing came through that I don't see. Yeah, that's it. There's three. Thank you, producers who come in and support the show for $7.77 or more, which entitles you to have a note read on the show. We got a few people. We got the mega streakers that are coming in under the 777 cutoff. Let's thank them real quick. You ready?
Yep.
Thank you to Dame Gale, Canary Whisperer, and Lady of X's and O's.
Thank you, Dame
240 episodes in a row.
Was there an old note we were supposed to read from Dame Gale?
Yeah, okay. I saw this going on. Dame Gale emails our other email account that we don't check. I found it, but it is not to be read on the show. So we'll do it after. Thank you, Dame Gale. Yeah. Next up, we got Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 278 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Casey.
We got Veronica D, 240 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Veronica D.
We got Doctor Who Dundat, 40 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Doctor Who Dundat.
But I think that's supposed to be 41.
Ooh, okay.
No, let's keep it 40. I'll double check later. Next up, we got Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 267 episodes in a row.
Thank you very much, Sir Scott.
Oh yeah, Streakalicious.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody in the chat is saying, why don't we use renderings that we already have, illustrations that artists we do? That's what we've been doing. That's where the ones are there. They came from. But we will only have a limited amount of those artists.
If we do a different one every episode, we will run out after a few.
A few more.
Yeah, a few more. So
yeah. Okay. That's it. Thank you to our financial producers keeping this show going. We appreciate it very much, and we honor you with your ability to recognize the direction in which the world is going. Even the mainstream news outlets are trying to pivot. The corporate system is letting them fall behind. Their ratings are falling again and again and again, and they're reaching out. They're panhandling on the side of the highway, CNN and NBC. But they're late to the game because it's not just about donations. It's not just about asking for money. It is about a paradigm shift in your listenership to realize that we do have responsibility for this world in so many different ways. And when it comes to, mainstream, news, media, current events, analysis, deconstruction, if you want quality and in truly independent coverage of these things, it is something that the people must band together and keep alive. And that's what our producers do. So thank you very much. You can head on over to canarycry.support, and thank you for your patronage.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support. My money. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
Yes, it's wake-up time.
Hey, yo, wake up. 33 is the number of completion of the Great War.
33. We're going to blitz through some 33 stories here and take some time deconstructing. Normally, there's a period where we see numbers and we go, okay, yeah, there's some 33s out there, but it's not really pumping. Then there are other times where it's just everywhere. And today's one of those days where it was like, oh my gosh, there's just a lot of them going on. So,
and because we always get questions when we do like a 33 blitz like this or something. What is the thing with 33? What's the deal with 33? Well, there's a lot of things with 33, and there's a lot of different belief systems and ideological structures and things like that having to do with 33 for a lot of mathematical reasons, aesthetic reasons, things like that. But when it comes to the mainstream news and 33 and current events, it seems to be some sort of elite messaging number. Of course, we've got connections with 33 and the Freemasons and all sorts of Hermeticism and occult
bones in your spine.
Of course, lots of crazy places that 33 shows up. But in the context of keeping an eye on the mainstream news, it seems as though that 33 has some sort of hiding in plain sight messaging apparatus involved with it. Oftentimes you'll see 33 show up in stories that don't really make any sense, or it's in there multiple times. It's too much. You'll find stories that make a big point of 33 in the article and then find that it has to do with something else nefarious going on. Or it could simply message to other elites, don't worry, this is all part of the plan. Right. At least that's the context in which we look at it here. So with that, what do you got first?
I'm for the robots.
Let's start off with a quasi-flippy update. It's more of just a headline, but it's something to take note. This is from Benzinga.com. Hydraulic robot arm sales to attain 21,388.9 million by 2033. That's 21 billion, by the way, for anyone.
Oh, 2033. We've got a flippy 33.
Yeah. So robot arm sales by 2033 should be about $21 billion. $21 billion industry. Get in now, Basil.
It's pretty impressive.
It's going to triple. So there you go.
That's a long time to wait.
Yeah. So, there you go. There's a 10-year...
We know that robot arms are some of the biggest tools of the technocratic world order coming out, specifically robot arms. And even in their sort of symbolic nature, does resonate with sort of the occult undertones of the technocrat utopia.
Yeah, it's almost bringing the golem to life, the funding the golem.
Yeah, the golem, right. Here, I got a fun one for you.
Space. Wanna go to space?
That's right. That's right, jpost.com. This is great. Okay, this one has to do with space. I'm going to read this. Let me know if anything stands out to you, listener.
Okay.
Here's the headline. Asteroid the size of 33 armadillos to pass Earth Sunday.
Trying to get this one going. Sorry, I ruined your headline.
That's okay. No, you didn't. 33 armadillos. That's right. It's the world-ending asteroid. It's coming right for us. And the J-Post writes, an asteroid around the size of almost... Listen to all of the disclaimer there. An asteroid around the size of almost 33 armadillos is set to pass by Earth on Sunday, according to NASA's asteroid tracker. The asteroid in question has been designated 2023 FL2 and was discovered just this year, according to the Center for Near-Earth Object Studies at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. And look, we know we had questions too. Thankfully, J-Post goes ahead. They answer the questions. For those wondering how this measurement is being calculated, the metric is the total length of the 9-banded armadillo species of armadillos, including the tail, not while it is rolled up into a ball.
Okay.
Again, I like it. Yeah, they tell us kind of the idea of measuring things in armadillo length, but so far not why measuring them in armadillo length. We understand what an armadillo is. I mean,
no, you
and
see, it's a spread out armadillo, not a rolled up armadillo.
Yeah, right. The comic value of measuring asteroids, measuring heavenly bodies floating around in space, if there is such a thing, measuring it in armadillo. I get the concept. I just don't know why. It goes on. Asteroid 2023 FL2 is approaching the smaller side as far as most asteroids go, with NASA estimating its diameter to be as much as 35 meters. Okay, you could have just said 35 meters. Let's put that astronomical, literally, not figuratively, size in a more down-to-earth perspective using an adorable armored mammal, the armadillo.
That's why.
They're measuring the asteroid in armadillos as a way to, make it more understandable to the common man.
I think this is a great PR move. I mean, we clicked on it. We were looking at
it's
it.
Perfect.
We're wondering what's going on.
They're this Americans. Look, we got to measure this thing and something Americans will understand. They don't get the metric system. Americans have no idea what's going on with the metric system. What should we measure it then? Armadillos. Americans love armadillos.
I do think this is kind of a sneaky jab at Western measurement systems. This has to be. Why would you even?
It's hilarious.
It is hilarious.
I don't know,
but
I'm trying to figure out what the message is.
Hey, America's falling. The West is falling. Hey, what are they going to do with their feet in inches? Oh, just armadillo.
Hi, hey, little guys. Hi, Americans. How are you? Oh, there's a big rock in the sky, and it's the size of 33 armadillos. And then it goes into more not even reasons, just literal specifics about armadillos. Of the 21 species of armadillo, the most common is the 9-banded armadillo, which can grow to as much as 107 centimeters in length.
I was going to say...
It's centimeters. How long is that? Well, it's the length of one armadillo. So
I didn't know all armadillos were the same size too. That's pretty impressive. That's impressive genetic consistency going on in the armadillo population.
I'm going to start only measuring things in armadillos from now on.
That's what they want you to do. Well, here's this line later in the article. It talks about the another asteroid. They do a lot of comparative analysis here. For example, some of the previous recent asteroid impacts, such as the corgi-sized meteor that weighed as much as 4 baby elephants that crashed in Texas.
They were just bored.
Didn't
These
result in
scientists
any
are just
damage.
bored.
It's because they don't have real jobs. That's mean. They have real jobs. They're looking at screens and numbers and stuff.
Jobs.
Yeah,
they're armadillo counters. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, so there you go. 33 armadillos. Try to decode that one, Illuminati hunters. I dare you.
Yeah, well, it all kind of makes sense, I guess. I don't know. When it comes to the gun control, maybe how big is an armadillo compared to a firing weapon?
Well, yeah. How many armadillos is a AR-15? That's
gun violence is an epidemic.
So
now,
yeah,
gun violence, gun control, these types of events, always very sad here. The notoriously riddled with 33. Mm-hmm. Almost pretty much every shooting, at least in the past 5 years, has had some sort of 33 in the reporting, which is weird. You know, it's one thing if it's just a couple, but when every single shooting in the U.S., or at least the ones reported nationally, has some sort of detail that amounts to 33, it's something to pay attention to.
Yeah.
So, and of course, we had one recently.
This morning. Nashville, Tennessee, the story, a lot of the headlines are, for example, this, they changed it. Of course they change it. They always change it. AP News here. Nashville school shooter had drawn maps, done surveillance. Ooh, this is an update, it appears. A lot of the headlines had 3 students, 3 adults being killed, and it does mention this in the first sentence here. The suspect in a Nashville shooting, school shooting, was a Christian private school, probably get to that as well, on Monday had drawn a detailed map of the school, including potential entry points, and done surveillance before killing 3 students and 3 adults. There's the dual threes.
Yes. Well, and I will say, in case someone listening right now is tempted to say, okay, 3 students, 3 adults, I don't know, you're kind of stretching it a little bit on the 33. I don't know if that counts as 33. You're kind of, reaching for that one. Just keep listening.
Right. The suspect, who was killed by police, is believed to be a former student at the Covenant School in Nashville, where the shooting took place. Now, some people have pointed out the Covenant School in Nashville. You can go to their website here. I have it here, thecovenantschool.com. It's here it is, and welcome, There's the About page. Talks about Dr. Catherine Kuhn, who's the head of the school, which is mentioned in various articles about the school that has been published today. And if you just scroll all the way down to the address, they have the address in the corner of the website. Covenant School, 33 Burton Hill Boulevard.
Weird, huh?
Yeah.
Kind of weird that it's the address of the school. This was reminiscent of one of the grocery store shootings last year. It was literally store number 33 in the chain. These things, and that's not just that's the really weird one, because there's facts of a story that can get reported, like 33 people were injured. That's one thing. Those numbers kind of rise and fall, and it's due to reporting or hospital records, or it's a variable detail, that 33. But when so many of the invariable details also include 33, like the address of a building or the number of a store in the franchise, things like this, that's the one that really gets weird for me. Another one was the AT&T building bombing a while back, was also 33 in the address, stuff like that. It's that's the weird one.
Yeah. So we don't necessarily have to go down any particular rabbit trails with this stuff, but there was a Heavy.com article. They published the name of the shooter, who happened to be female, which again is a very I guess it's new for the American public to try to digest. Yeah, it's an interesting twist to everything. But Heavy.com had this headline: Audrey Hale, Nashville Covenant School shooting suspect. 5 fast facts you need to know. You know how Heavy always does these. Real quick. She's 28 years old. She attended the private Christian school, and so it goes through what happened in the day there. And it goes through all the points here. The suspect shooter, identified as Audrey Hale, was killed by police responding to an active shooter call at the Covenant School on the 2nd floor of the school, officials said. That's number 1. It goes through all the details. Number 2, a motive for the shooting has not been released. That'll be interesting. But, we're hearing more stuff like maps and whatnot. So it was clear motive. There was intention there. Number 3, Hale was armed with 2 assault-style rifles and handgun, police say. So there's your...
This one is always weird, the 2 rifle thing. Yeah. This one keeps coming up too, because, I don't know, it seems weird to show up with 2 rifles. If anybody, is familiar with shooting rifles, they're not necessarily the most convenient things to carry, and having 2 of them slung over your shoulder is a real pain in the butt. And why would you need 2 of them? That's always a weird detail. And that one's popped up a couple times too.
Right. Number 4, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee said he is closely monitoring the tragic situation at Covenant. Now, I don't know how this has anything to do with the shooter, other than, of course, it's the whole tragedy. But the headline here is 5 facts, right? 5 facts about what you need to know about the suspect, Audrey Hale.
Right.
So it's not really going. They're sort of starting to lose the reader, lose the plot. There's just not enough facts. Yeah. Okay. So you go to number 5 here, the last one. The Covenant School was founded in 2001 and has an enrollment of about 200 students, according to its website. Okay. It's got some pictures of some nice stuff here. Then it says this: according to the Covenant School's website, it was founded in 2001, quote, as a ministry of Covenant Presbyterian Church. The school has an enrollment of between 195 and 210 students in recent years, according to the website. The school has a teaching faculty of 33. Its website says.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a weird one.
That's another weird one, right?
A lot of 33s.
It's 3 33s, or at least a pair of threes being presented surrounding this story. And that's just today. It happened this morning as we were recording this. So,
well, it's interesting too. One of the other ways that it almost always pops up is the age of the person. 33, as the age almost always pops up. This person is not 33 years old, but it was originally reported that it was a teen.
Yes,
that had gone in and done this, and now it's being reported, that they're 28
years old.
So kind of a weird mishmash there. Now, of course, the tweets have been flying around. Sorry, how much more do you have on this?
I have the tweets ready here if you want to talk about it, because we at least at the time of putting this show together, Gabe Gutierrez, he's the I believe he is the NBC News national correspondent.
Gutierrez.
Gutierrez. He mentioned Audrey Hale by name, and then in the thread you had the Mediaite. What's his name here? I'm sorry, I have here John Nicosia respond. News, politics, news cycle media, former managing editor at Mediaite, has a screenshot of Audrey Hale from LinkedIn, and of course it has the he/him label, illustrator, graphic designer, and it's one of those things where people are going to latch on right away and say, "Oh, see, this person was a trans, or they were woke, or whatever to spin that narrative." But we got to be very careful with that, because you go to LinkedIn, you type in Audrey Hale. There is that Audrey Hale from Nashville, Tennessee. So I'm not saying that this isn't her. It certainly could be. But the name does pull up a lot of results. There are multiple Audrey Hales on just LinkedIn in general. So,
Andy Ngo. How do you say that?
No, yeah.
Andy No, popular conservative tweeter, I guess, is how would you describe that?
Yeah, that's what he is,
just tweeted breaking. I guess he has the archive. Here, I can send you this link if you wanted to do it. I'll put it in the Skype here for you. Has an archive link of Audrey Hale's, graphic art portfolio or something. And yes, definitely kind of covered in trans symbology and things like that. So
right, sure, you can string together a narrative for a motive there,
right?
I suppose,
well, that's what I'm saying. Is we're seeing very popular people sort of latching on to the Audrey Hale that was originally the LinkedIn person, but I have yet to be able to confirm that it's the right Audrey Hale. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It does say that she's from Nashville. Looks like a lot of her education was in Nashville, so it's entirely possible that's
maybe the only Audrey Hale in Nashville is true. But it's weird because at least up until now, nobody has posted like the confirmation of the Audrey Hale that they are sharing all this information about, and the one that is deceased now that committed the crime, which is not entirely unusual. That is sort of how the internet goes after something like this happened. But
it's either they're going to be proven right. Yeah, it'll be proven right, or it's a pretty big discrediting campaign going on here.
That's exactly the point. That's exactly the point. Is if it is the right person, then okay, great, found her. But if it's not the right person, that's when it gets used as controlled opposition, and gets used as, oh, look at the internet, look at Twitter, these right-wing extremists just found some old Audrey Hale and took it as an opportunity to be anti-trans.
Anti-trans as part of the, exactly. So very interesting. We'll keep an eye on some of that. But
by the way, there is a sort of pseudo-thriving community of conservative trans gun nuts on Twitter. Have you come across this community?
No, but I just realized also that Audrey Hale's header image, the H has two googly eyes in it. I'm a little creeped out.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez.
I'm a little weirded out here, Basil.
Taking my brand.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to accuse Audrey Hale of taking your brand. That's not a good look. That's not a good narrative.
We might as well move forward. Of course, more details are coming out. Just happened this morning. So if there's anything notable, we'll cover it on Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You got some money stuff.
Should we do some money? Let's do some money. There's a lot of money stuff.
Okay, so this sets up a larger conversation that we've been talking about a lot, the rise of the Yuan. Of course, this episode is titled Year One, sort of a play on words, as Year One of the New World Order, according to the Trilateral Commission. But we have the idea of the U.S. losing power, sort of a monopoly in the world, which, of course, for us, people listening, people watching who have been paying attention, we know that it's been this long, slow fall from grace.
Yeah,
so
like a lot of things, it's slow until it's not.
Until it's not, right? The crumbling happens quickly towards the end there. But a lot of news sites are starting to introduce the idea to its audience, and there were things on MSNBC and CNN and some of these more left-leaning channels talking about it, but Fox News had on Monica Crowley, former Assistant Treasury Secretary, and she lays out a scenario of the U.S. truly losing the status of the U.S. dollar specifically, and of course the U.S. along with it, losing the title of world reserve currency and what it would take for that to take place. So we'll just take a listen here and hear what she has to say.
Look, since the end of World War II, the dollar has been the safe place to go, and it's been backed up by a couple of things. It originally was backed up by gold, but President Nixon took us off the gold standard, so there's no hard asset backing up the dollar anymore for the last 50 years. But also it's been backed up by the strength and economic power of the United States and the fact that oil has always been traded in dollars. If that were to end, that would mean the end of the U.S. dollar. Look, there is a perfect storm happening right now, Will. The world's reserve currency, being that, having that status, has been a real privilege, but we've abused the privilege by wholly reckless monetary and fiscal policies over many years, certainly over the last couple of years, which has really devalued the dollar. On top of that, now you do have this perfect storm of Biden's weakness, his war on American domestic energy production, the Ukraine war, and as you point out, because of all of these things, we've got America's enemies led by China forming a new economic bloc. And all it would take at this point now, because we're at this pivotal moment, Will, is for Saudi Arabia, who has indicated that they're open to this, to say, you know what, we're going to be open to considering other currencies to trade in oil. If that were to happen, there would be a complete implosion of the global economic system, but certainly the American economic system. And if that were to happen, you'd be looking at sky-high inflation, just raging Weimar Republic kind of inflation. If you think inflation is bad now, just wait. But more importantly, we would lose our economic dominance and we would lose our superpower status.
I thought we were fearmongers. We're like full of hope compared to this lady.
Yeah, I mean, we're realists. She is, she's very, very worked up about. I mean, problem is she's just not necessarily wrong. She is putting in some particularly strong language.
Yeah.
But this was on Fox. Yeah.
This was on Fox. Yeah. Which is, I guess, not too surprising. But at the heels of this recording here, Reuters.com published this morning, Saudi Aramco inks $12.2 billion Chinese oil refinery petchem complex deal. And talk about the future. Let's see what it says. Saudi Aramco signed an agreement with Chinese partners on Sunday for an oil refinery and petrochemical project in northeast China that is expected to start in 2026 to meet the country's growing demand for fuel and chemicals. The project in Liaoning Province's city of Panjin will be Aramco's second major refining petrochemical investment in China and follows the world's top oil exporter, reporting a record profit of $161 billion in 2022. It goes into some more details with the barrels and everything else.
Yeah.
And we don't have to get into that.
This fits into what we've been seeing with Saudi Arabia and China. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is. We recently saw China broker the deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran, which took Saudi out of the deal that the U.S. was trying to broker between Saudi Arabia and Israel. Effectively, Saudi Arabia kind of taking the side of China in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, we also see, and this is where it gets a little strange, because, of course, we also had Saudi Arabia basically say, yeah, we'll just let Credit Suisse fall. They're sort of
their 9% stake in Credit Suisse. They're like, sure.
Yeah, they were sort of the ones lined up to save the bank. And they had reasons, but they said they'd rather just let the bank fall than come in and save the Western banking
capitalistic,
system.
Isn't it? It's so weird how they're allowing certain things to take place that normal capitalism should do. You know,
They stood to lose like $70 billion if they didn't go in and save that bank. But instead of participate in Western banking, I mean, it was the week after their deal with China.
Yeah.
And they're just like, we'll just let Western civilization fall. We don't really care.
So before we go on, real quick, I know you have your thing here, but just real quick, this article mentions that separately, Aramco on Sunday signed a memorandum of understanding with the southern Chinese province of Guangdong to explore cooperation in sectors including energy, finance, research, and innovations, according to a post on the provincial government's website. So this is like full China-Saudi relationship, the whole deal. So this is not looking great for the U.S. dollar or the U.S. Side of things.
And that's kind of the issue, isn't it? I mean, now the thing is, the Saudi Arabia relationship isn't always so obvious. The U.S.-Saudi Arabia relationship is a complicated one. We can all agree on that. But it is also one where the U.S. has basically acted as military for hire for Saudi Arabia, and then that's sort of paid for in petro access, and that's where the war in Syria comes in. Again, maybe the most secretive war that we are in and have been fighting, and Obama ramped it up. It was a whole thing. We are currently have U.S. troops fighting a war in Syria on behalf, basically, of Saudi Arabia. And so I think it's interesting to pay attention to this, considering the changes going on. If you go to cbsnews.com, several more attacks against U.S. bases in Syria after alleged Iranian drone kills American contractor, drawing airstrikes. A U.S. service member was wounded in a series of new attacks Friday targeting U.S. bases in Syria, following Thursday's fatal drone attack on a U.S. base, a U.S. official confirmed to CBS News. On Thursday, a U.S. contractor was killed and 5 U.S. service members and a second U.S. contractor wounded when a suspected Iranian drone hit a coalition base in Syria, according to U.S. officials. Following that initial attack, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said in a statement that U.S. Central Command forces retaliated with quote, precision airstrikes against facilities in eastern Syria used by groups affiliated with Iran's Revolutionary Guard. The Defense Department said the intelligence community had determined the unmanned aerial vehicle used in the Thursday attack was of Iranian origin. The U.S. official told CBS News that there were another 3 attacks on Friday on U.S. military bases in Syria since the retaliatory U.S. airstrikes. A U.S. service member was wounded in one of the 3 attacks. So over the weekend, it was just sort of this flurry of action in the Syrian war, which generally is kept pretty quiet.
Yeah.
And because nobody voted to go to war in Syria, Congress didn't approve a war in Syria. Nobody wants to go to war in Syria. But what it is the U.S. government renting our military. It's a military for hire situation. And is, I guess, fine and dandy until people start dying for it, I guess.
People blowed up,
Yeah. And that's sort of the basis of the Saudi Arabia-U.S. relationship, which is very, I don't know, the whole thing is just very messy. One interesting thing about the initial attack was this base, they have their air defenses specifically for shooting down drones who want to attack the base. They got their radar, they got their anti-aircraft guns, things like that, where formerly a drone shouldn't be able to, I believe this was like a little mini drone, like a little kamikaze drone. Should have never been able to get close. But at the exact moment that they were like restarting the system for like a software upgrade or something, where their radar was down for like, I think it was like an hour or something.
Ooh.
That's exactly when it hit. And so there's a lot of suspicion about who would have known. Yeah, right. Who would have known, who would have had the impetus, who benefits from this. And it's really just confused even more by the fact that Saudi Arabia and Iran just sort of made buddies. And in my opinion, the most likely insider who would have been at that base would have been somebody from Saudi Arabia. But
that makes sense. Yeah, to compromise any U.S. ties in the area.
Yeah, right. So it's a very strange thing, but I think it's interesting because it kind of started getting out, and then boom, mass shooting in the U.S. News.
That is.
Once you can't get people riled up about Syria, because if you do, the U.S. population will realize that we've been fighting a war for many years now that nobody agreed to go to and nobody tells us about, and is for no reason except for we're getting paid to do it. So
we're the best economic hitmen, America, baby.
Yeah, you really got it. Yeah. So, so now when we start hearing about Saudi Arabia and how they have such an ability to sabotage the U.S. in so many different ways, you got to put it in the context of basically we're employed by them. The U.S. military is employed by Saudi Arabia.
I mean, an actual legitimate decoupling for a country like Saudi Arabia with the U.S. dollar, I mean, I'm kind of worried what would happen in the U.S. The U.S. is not ready for that kind of.
Yeah, you and Monica Crowley both.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more concerned about the Gen Z TikTokers who are going to be shut out, and I think the untold story maybe of the whole, well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But
very proud of us for not doing any stories about TikTok today.
Yes,
so let's keep it that way.
Yeah. All right. Let's thank some producers. Break. This is break. Don't just consume the content, but become the content. Become the content. Take a break. All right, we're going to take a quick break to thank our producers who come in with their God-given talent. If you get value out of this show, provide value back by helping us build the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk. Of course, we thanked our producers coming in with their treasure, but you can also help produce the show with your talent. And so we're going to do that now. We're going to start off with some, speak pipe material. Here we go. Speak pipe.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
Go to canarycrynewstalk.com or any of the pages there, you will see a green tab on the right side or the bottom of your screen. Click on that. It will open a little window with a start recording button, which you can hit, and it will record a 90-second message, or up to 90 seconds. It doesn't have to be 90 seconds. And it'll be sent to us, and we can play it for all of you. We had a prayer from Ginger B at the top of the show. Thank you very much, Ginger, for that. And we have a message here from Rochelle.
Happy Monday. So I was thinking about ways to encourage, more little birdies to contribute to this amazing operation. Perhaps a way as to see a funding goal and the percentage reached, maybe like on a monthly basis or something. I mean, if we see that funding is 50% in the red, maybe someone out there realizes the need to step up their game. Anyway, I would like to leave you with the song. I don't remember if I've done this one before. I shall not die, but live to tell about the light. In the name of Jesus the Christ, send me some perfect peace. Let your light shine upon me. Put some power in that prophecy, where you frustrate the enemy. Tear down the serpent's walls. And as I wait for Satan to fall, put some power in your great name, and let them perish in perfect shame. Stay strong for Jesus.
Thank you very much, Rochelle. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Yes, and great idea. We have talked about that, and we are working on putting together a more comprehensive sort of producer, goal thermometer and things like this. We've actually been talking about it since the beginning of the year, and it's just a matter of putting it together technologically on the website and stuff like that. But we are working on it. Great idea.
Yep. Thank you very much, Rochelle. Okay, we also had another piece from Modern Day Bible Study get sent in, and this time is a video here. We will play it now.
This coffee break memory with Modern Day Bible Study is called The Wells Inspiration.
Oh no, I don't know what's happening. Wasn't it playing?
Oh no.
Continue to play. It's stuck at 11 seconds. All right, let me try to trying to refresh. Oh no, what happened?
Oh, it didn't download it. You're just streaming it.
There's a stream here. Yeah.
Oh no.
Okay, here we go.
Always download the assets.
Study.
Here's a tip.
There we go. The Wells Inspiration. Ain't this life about the Spirit? They have us focusing on our bodies and channeling our will to pride. Is this world that we are wasting something to be proud about? Chiming into the inner will show you what's real. Suffering, joy, pain, and grace. All these they mask or increase to the max. We must experience these attributes to test the body, not to enhance. If you look at science as enhancement, then how can it be a religion? Hypothesis after theory seems to be our only argument. The miraculous body is our vessel that harbors the soul. The soul is our moral guide to connect with God-given life. Those that take will earn their consequence. Fear God, for there is only one. Jealousy is at play when others are falsely worshipped. Wouldn't you desire one God to rule them all? For no desire would exist if we weren't created. Praise God for the gift of obtaining nothing. I truly say to you, you will find your soul. We have nothing in this world without this peace. Constantly seeking love until our souls they speak. Fountain of youth, give me a break. For we now have creams and powders to keep you in shape. The body is temporary, so do as you please. Just try not to affect another person with your greedy deeds. All I'm saying is I am grateful for these thoughts. They keep me on my toes when others like to argue lots. I'm out of the box, no stopping this now. For AI has broken the crown. As common kings with some help from Mayday would say, today's a new day, throw your broken crown away. Good, bad,
That's awesome.
who knows, but sometimes I must frown. For the righteous will stand strong, and only to God do I bow down. Bringing you extra energy with Basil and Gons. And remember, think outside the cage.
All right. Thank you very much, Modern Day Bible Study. Appreciate that.
Yeah. You didn't want to save that whole thing for the mixtape,
Yeah,
did
I should have. I probably will play it again at the end of the show. But yeah, apologies.
Okay. Thank you very much, Modern
Taking the
Day
whole
Bible
time
Study.
there. Yeah. All right. We're going to do... Uh-oh. Where did everything go? It all disappeared. That's always fun. We're going to do some art.
One art, please.
We're going to do audio first, actually.
Audio production.
Got something from Jonathan F.
Jonathan F.
A note that says, hello, Joe Biden really has had China on his mind a lot. Just for context, Byron, this is Joe, was speaking at a presser during a meeting with Trudeau Castro Jr. about immigration. Guess Canada's border is more important. Anyway, God bless and enjoy.
On a humanitarian basis, while discouraging unlawful migration that feeds exploitation and human trafficking. So today, I applaud China for stepping out. I applaud Canada. You can tell what I'm thinking about China. I won't get into it.
Well, you know, China and Canada, it's really, I mean...
endless well of content, that, man.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Jonathan F. All right, now we are doing art.
One art, please.
Gonna kick it off with Sir Dove.
One art piece from Dove.
He has a note that said, "Piece for this week's Bible artwork. I did an illustration for Luke 15:4. What man among you, if he has 100 sheep and loses one of them, does not leave the 99 in the pasture and go after the one that is lost until he finds it?" Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for yins.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Thank you, Sir Dev. We've got sort of the image from behind of a Middle Eastern-looking clad, robed figure with the
garb.
First century Israelite there, with a very happy-looking sheep strung across his back, and then in sort of trippy dippy dove font across the sky in big yellow letters is rejoice with a smiley face. Is the O. Very cool. Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Thank you, Sir Dove. Yeah, I really like this one. This one's very cool. Appreciate it. All right. We also got something from Flippy Baggins. That's a new thing here. So the first time on Discord and talking to the community, I've listened to the podcast since 2017 almost every day to back catalog. Still have not made a live stream as of yet. They said they are about mid-2022 in the podcast. They're really going after it, Basil. My 3-year-old son was reading a book in the kids' crochet, I think that's how you say that, at my church during a service on the weekend, and I could not resist the chance to share. Just thought I would put up these photos I took of googly eyes. I just enjoy reading every Canary's post. Peace. National capital Canary from Australia. Flippy Baggins. Okay, so
awesome.
Yeah, so there's a book here, this picture. Speaking of lost sheep, there's a book titled Basil the Branch.
No, fun.
Written by Andrew McDonough. And there's a speech bubble coming out of the word or the name Basil, and it says lost sheep. Interesting. And the picture is of a branch. Looks like, I don't know what that is, grapes or something?
Yeah, it looks like a vineyard branch.
Vineyard branch, okay, yeah. And there's a couple pages that photos sent from the book. We got this here. There's the tree branch. It says, "Hi, Basil," said a voice. Basil looked over his shoulder to see who was interrupting his moment of despair. "Who are you?" asked Basil. "I am the vine," said the vine. "And you are the branch. You can't produce grapes on your own. Stop straining and just stick with me."
Hey, that's good advice.
There is. And then so there's another page. And it says, so Basil took a deep breath, wiggled his shoulders, and focused on the vine. I don't see shoulders in the image there, but a pair of googly eyes on a branch.
That is very fun.
Named Basil.
That is very funny.
Yeah.
Weird.
This is like some weird parallel world being expressed in a children's Bible study book.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really weird. One might be tempted to think that, like, I secretly wrote this Christian's Child book or something. Or yeah, maybe what's the name of the author?
Andrew McDonough or McDonough? McDonough. I don't know how to pronounce that. McDonough?
McDonough or something,
well,
maybe?
The Hugh would have the UE at the end.
Well, you know, those
Australians
names from
names.
Yeah.
And
well, that's like it's like a Scottish name or something.
Yeah.
They spell things weird. Huh. Well, Michael or Andrew McDonough, whatever it is. Andrew, hit us up, man. If you listen to the show, send us an email.
Yeah.
You might owe me some money.
Yeah, I was gonna say you might be infringing on some trademarks there or something. You know, you never know.
Yeah. But I'm happy to inspire such a quality piece of children's literature. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Who sent this in?
Flippy Baggins.
Flippy Baggins. Yeah. Oh, I do like that too.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Flippy Baggins. Okay, that's it for the art. We do have a couple microfiction.
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 This first one is by Runk Smash.
Waking up from the journey through the life of a Bible scholar, Mike is a new man. The violent temptress attempts to charm him, but she's lost hold. And now he sees things as they are, lies and images in sand.
Live streamers missed that last line because you cut out.
Oh.
Mike opens the door.
But she's lost hold. Oh, the last sentence. Mike opens a door and leaves the lobby. There you go. I can do it another. You want me to do it again?
No,
Mike opens a door and leaves the lobby? Thank you very much, Runk Smash. What a touching set of microfictions there.
I think it's an ode to an old friend. Okay, yes. We also got one from Stephen S.
The phone call continues. An AI easy button. Doctor, are you taking steps so the variant isn't traced back to your work? Don't worry. I have researchers uncovering zombie viruses. The origin narrative will be focused on the melting ice of Antarctica.
There you go. You're sacrificing your voice for the show.
Yeah,
come on,
unsustainable voice to do that one.
Give it up for googly eye voice man over there. The branch.
Thank you. I am the branch. Wait, no.
Yeah,
he is the branch.
No, you're the branch.
I am the branch. He is the vine. That's what it is. And thank you to all of our very creative producers here, making sure that we have some important and quality culture-shaping art and music, and well, I guess music is art, just art in general. These very talented people. Thank you very much. And anybody out there can send in some art, create something for the show. It's very important. Again, we have an open call for any artist. Even if you're not an artist, it'd be fun. Let's get some kids making some Basil and Gons drawings or something. We need them. We need a big collection of them for our thumbnail art. We are trying to put a new version of an illustrated Basil and Gons on the front of the thumbnail art every episode. So if y'all want to help us out with that, that'd be very helpful. And whatever you create for us, go to canarycry.art and you can upload it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, time for some transhumanism.
Transhuman, make way for the Homo superior.
My generation is, hopefully with the advances in science, the first generation to live forever, or the last generation that's going to die.
Are you even woke?
Woke up, man.
There's a lot of things twisting and turning weird. CNN.com headline: Scientists create mice from two dads after making eggs from skin cells. There you go.
Oh.
Two dads.
No mother at all.
Uh-huh. Scientists have created mice.
They truly are erasing women.
Yeah, this is the most patriarchal thing you can do. Scientists have created mice with two biologically male parents for the first time, a significant milestone in reproductive biology. The team, led by Katsuhiko Hayashi, a professor of genome biology at Osaka University in Japan, generated eggs from the skin cells of male mice that, when implanted in female mice, went on to produce healthy pups, according to research published March 15th in a peer-reviewed journal Nature. The proof of concept research.
So I guess there was a mother involved.
There's a mother involved, but the genes are, The proof of concept research, the culmination of years of painstaking lab work, could expand the possibilities for future fertility treatments, including for same-sex couples, and perhaps help prevent the extinction of endangered animals. I love all the positive ways in which the technology can be applied. You can.
What does this have to do with endangered animals?
Oh, you can breed them, man.
But you still need a female and you need a male. Just let them do it the old-fashioned way.
Here's what if you find the last two, snow leopards or something, and they're both male, and you're like, oh no, what are we gonna do? Well, you can't crossbreed it. No, let's just mingle their genes and make more.
Right, but they still needed a womb. They still implanted it in a
let
womb.
Let the humans that need money.
Oh, you know what? You probably could do the snow leopards' daddies. Implant that into just a regular leopard that could carry it, probably, right? Like a subspecies thing.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
The proof of concept. Okay. However, scientists warn there's still much to learn before cultured cells can be used to make human eggs in a lab dish. Thanks, CNN. Quote, it is expected that application into humans takes a long time, maybe 10 years or more. Even if it is applied, we never know whether the eggs are safe enough to produce a baby, Hayashi said. And then it gets really detailed. I'll read a little bit here. The researchers took skin cells from the tails of fully grown male lab mice, which, as in male humans, contains one X and one Y chromosome, and turned them into induced pluripotent stem cells, or iPSCs, a type of cell that scientists have reprogrammed into an embryonic state. This process of genetic engineering, which introduces specific genes to create cells that mimic embryonic stem cells, was pioneered by Nobel Prize-winning scientist Shinya Yamanaka. For a population that is dying, they're really into their gene engineering. When the iPSCs are cultured in a lab, a few spontaneously lose the Y chromosome, which isn't essential for the growth of this particular type of cell, generating XO cells, Hayashi explained. The researchers cultured the XO cells and found that some cells developed two X chromosomes as a result of cell division errors, making them chromosomally female. Treating the XO cells with the compound called reversing increased the number of XX cells, the researchers found. From there, the team converted the XX cells into primordial germ cells, the precursors of eggs and sperm that were subsequently programmed with the signals to turn them into egg cells. Once fertilized with sperm and implanted into a mouse uterus, the eggs generated 5 offspring. Quote, the study is particularly neat because it takes advantage of errors that are known to occur during culture of XY cells, which lead to loss of the Y chromosome and subsequent gain of a second X chromosome, resulting in XX cells that are capable of generating live offspring. That's Rod Mitchell.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Uh-huh.
Is there a reason why you're reading all this?
Yeah, I'm getting to the highlights here.
Okay.
Quote, however, its potential application for humans, example, for same-sex couples, like Buttigieg, right? Buttigieg and don't they have a child?
That is a gay man. You did name a gay man.
Where was I? Potential remains to be seen. The application remains to be seen. Yeah, I know. Well, I don't know the name. I don't know how to pronounce his name. In the mouse study,
that's not true, Daddy.
Very few of the embryos generated using mouse cells, resulting in live offspring, and the final steps required to convert germ cells into eggs have not been reliably reproduced using human cells, added Mitchell, who is also a consultant pediatric endocrinologist at the Royal Hospital of Children and Young People in Edinburgh. Well, that's good. You want a guy working with kids, also trying to create 2 daddy mice.
Did he say that they tried this and it hasn't worked so far?
It's just not working very well with the human
cells. Imagine
Only
that.
7 out of 630 implanted mouse embryos gave rise to mouse pups. Hayashi said this low success rate, around 1%, wasn't down to the process of sex chromosome conversion, but the reality that cells cultured in a lab are typically inferior to those in living animals. And, so what do they need? Probably more money and more fear about extinction of animals. And of course, it doesn't hurt to have the story here. Okay, how do you say it? Buttigieg? Buttigieg. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Buttigieg.
There you go.
All right. Buttigieg responds to Pence's joke on his maternity leave because, ABC News headline there as the Secretary for Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, fatherhood and politics are not mutually exclusive. Buttigieg and his husband, Chasten, adopted newborn twins in 2021, yada, yada, yada. So, it's for guys like him, if they really want to have a genetic baby with your husband as a gay man, well, now the science is being worked on. Just wait a few years, fellas. You'll have your wish, I guess. I don't know.
Well, that is interesting. I mean, it does still, even if at its current state, still need to put it in a womb to make it work. It's funny with the PR of these things, because it's kind of like, now this is what we've learned over the years of specifically the pandemic, is that the scientific industry is a lot more like, a sales.
Yeah,
it's like a sales industry more than anything else. The science that is able to get done is the science that either the government wants to pay for, or
usually that's what
money,
it is. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like military. Like if the government can use it to kill people, that's one.
Right.
Or if the government or politicians thereof can get votes, then the money goes there. So essentially, you have this science, which I could see somebody just being curious and being like, let's see if we can do it. I don't know. I don't believe that the universe has any order and that God is dead. So I will be creating abominations in my lab for fun. Or it needs, so that science needs to be put in a sales pitch, and nothing sells better than social justice and animals.
Yeah.
So you could pretty much get anything done that you wanted as long as you put it in the context of animals and social justice. It doesn't matter. I am curious how much of this sort of black market, how much further has it gone? Because
it's always been the question we ask.
Dr. Hay, has got
Morbius.
got his CRISPR babies born and everything. Mm-hmm. I think it's quite possible that this is already kind of figured out. And that's the thing, the impetus, the motivation is to hide science that has already been done so you can get it paid for. Yeah. And the politicians who lobby for it to get paid for can get voted for being so woke or whatever.
Sinful generation!
It is fascinating that, the Bible talks about those whose names are not written in the book of life and all this kind of stuff in the book of Revelation. It's as if we're engineering those humans, in the laboratory. The name's not written in the book of life. It's a very interesting question. By the way, your thing about we still need women, wrong. Benzinga.com, artificial womb facility could grow 30,000 babies a year. Remember that story? It's being republished here. Yeah, it's being republished by Benzinga on the 25th of March here. But yeah, there are projects that are really pushing for the artificial womb thing. So, combine the male to male dad genetics and artificial wombs, and hey, you got yourself a Buddha baby, booty baby.
I think it's fun.
Oh, did you freeze? You froze.
The suffrage. Did I disappear?
You disappeared for a second. Yeah, couldn't hear.
I think it's interesting. The past 100 years or so, the fight for women's rights and women should be respected and they're valuable members of society, things like this, has gone so far that we're kind of tipping on the other side in the sake for the cause of social justice. Like, women are so important. They're just as important as men. They can do anything men can do. And now also men can do anything women can do. We don't even need you for babies. You're so important.
It's a circle.
We don't even need you anymore. You're free. Run away. That's bad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up.
Okay.
That was about it for today's show, folks. Yeah, we got a little late start, so we got a little late end, but we're glad you're here. Thank you to all of our producers, especially our executive producers, Christine S. and Morgan E., for making this show possible. Thank you to the rest of our producers, whether you came in with your time, your talent, or your treasure. Speaking of which, I would like to take a second, Guns, and thank all.
Lost you. What? We're thanking
I just want to thank the Clippies.
Okay.
Clippy on those videos. Thanks.
Sounds like end of the show or losing service here. Yes, thank you to the Clippies. They manage and populate and generally just love the Canary Cry Clips channel. Canary Cry Clips on YouTube and Odyssey. I think we're going to get that on Rumble here too, is probably our best bet as soon as possible. But thank you to Emsworth, Faye Liverin, Jones, and Laura for all pitching in, getting different pieces of that done. You guys are the greatest. And thank you to our timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work.
Timestamps. Very important thing that keeps the show going in ways that are invisible to so many people. But we're so happy and proud of our timestampers for what they do for us. And especially thank you to Jade Bouncerson for doing the timestamps of episode 605.
Thank you, Jade B. Appreciate you.
And of course, thanks to our social media gal.
Social media consultant.
Thanks so much.
Social media, follow us.
Dame Miss G, the OV, and the Deep Rivers, making sure the art mix it up on the social media. We appreciate that very much as well. My nose is getting stuffy. It's about that time of year, folks. Ratings and reviews. Banana, Go leave some ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts. It's really important to us. There's nothing that we can do without you leaving us reviews. Ba-na-na-na-na-na. It helps other people find the show. And there's nothing that we could know unless you leave us a review and tell us how much you love the show. Please do it. Or else I'll sing more songs if we don't get more ratings and reviews. I will sing and I will sing and I will sing until I can't sing anymore.
Son of a bee sting.
Thank you to Jam for the links. Thank you to everybody who sent in articles over at canarycry.report. That's where you can go send us articles. It's the best way to get it in front of our eyes. Canarycry.report.
I believe Eyes to See for Me sent in something there. So thank you very much, Eyes to See for Me.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you to Clank for the assistance. And I'm forgetting anybody. I don't think so. Other than that, share the show. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends' family. Share it with all the armadillos. Yes, the new American unit of measurement. And I think it's small-minded of us to think that we can only measure one dimension in armadillos. Not only can you measure the length and width of an asteroid in armadillos, but I am here to suggest that we can measure literally anything, including the quality of podcasts, the shareability of podcasts, the emotional resonance, and practical degree of life advice that can all be found on one single podcast is now, from henceforth, measured in armadillos. It does not simply mean that the podcast is good. It does not simply mean that the podcast has good sound quality, nor does it simply mean that the podcast contains content of value to one's life. No, to measure a podcast in armadillos, I submit you to hear today, dear scientists of the world, is sort of a universal measurement of the importance of a podcast to the history of humanity, not simply through the past or in the present, but far into eternal future. And so now, folks, this will be printed in every school book possible. I'll go ahead. It's not even just in like a social studies book. We'll put it in math books. We do need to invent a new style of mathematics to measure the armadillo rating of any particular podcast. And you might be thinking, Basil, you do not have the authority to make such a decision. Well, you know what I say to that? They do not have the authority to stop me. And by the power invested in me by God and podcasting, I now pronounce armadillos and podcasts forever wed in sort of the absurdist descriptions of one another. And soon we can measure armadillos in podcasts. So go ahead, go share with all your friends. You say, I have this new podcast you're going to love. It's called Canary Cry News Talk, and it measures out at about 9,000 armadillos. And they'll say, what? And you'll say, yes, indeed. And then you can open up any old textbook. Probably we're going to start in Texas. Going to start in Texas or Florida. And you can prove to them that there is a whole unit of measurement of the quality of podcasts that they never knew about. And they will say, you are very smart, friend or family member, sharing this information with me. You're brilliant. In fact, not only are you smart, brilliant, but also good looking. Where did you learn such a thing that you are teaching me now? And you will say, well, I heard it on Canary Cry News Talk, the most highly armadilloed podcast on the planet. That's just one way you can share the show. You don't have to share it that way. You can share it any number of ways that you like. But if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You walk right up to him, grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never stand silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy.
Leave the bird alone.
Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. I will make a comment before I give you the last word, Gons, and that is we've had some people wondering why we don't mention meetups at the end of the show anymore, and that is because we mention them at the top of the show. That's right. We just moved the meetup section to the first little mini break, so that's where you can learn about all the meetups. But, of course, if you already know, you already know. Just go to canarycrimeetups.com. That's where all the info is. But yes, other than that, we are trying to shorten the end of the show by moving things around. You've given away our secrets, but we're happy to get you involved in that. All right, Gons, do you have any last words?
Maybe the US dollar is going to collapse, but maybe we will have Arma dollars.
There it is, folks. There it is, the most important joke ever told on a podcast. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage. Why don't you?
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
He will hunt you down and make you pay.
Toilets! Toilets!
On a humanitarian basis, while discouraging unlawful migration that feeds exploitation and human trafficking. So today, I applaud China for stepping out. I applaud Canada. You can tell what I'm thinking.
bye, everybody. And that's the end. And everyone says, oh, that was fun.
Bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.